Chapter 26, Fish Cage. As one of the core industries of the Bai family, Wan Yulong's business has always been good. After the fish gambling project was launched, Wani Yulong directly became the most popular store in the city. Dog gambling will never go out of style. Outside the 10,000 fish cage, Chen Zhuge looked at those cultivators of all kinds, with pale faces, arrogant laughter, and was a little surprised. It was rare to see such rich and extreme expressions on cultivators. "Junior brother, come on, I'll take you to see some of the best," Lin Ju said, rubbing his hands. The 10,000 fish cage is divided into 5 layers. The first layer is the fish eggs laid by the second-order flying fish, and so on. The highest layer is the flying fish eggs laid by the 6th-order return to void level. "Junior brother, since this is your first time here, let's go to the 3rd floor. The price isn't too expensive." Lin Ju walked through the crowd and arrived at the 3rd floor with ease. "Two seniors, would you like to bet on fish or buy flying fish?" The servants on the 3rd floor were all beautiful female cultivators with fair skin and long legs. Lin Ju looked at the attendant nun and said, "Is there any free betting position?" Yes, please follow me, seniors." The female cultivator replied immediately after hearing about gambling on fish. The hall contained only a container full of flying fish samples and some idle waiters. The real fish gambling venues are in the rooms on the left and right. Because they didn't arrive early, the attendant walked all the way to the innermost room number 12 before saying, "Seniors, only room number 12 is vacant right now." "It's okay, just leave it at that. Just give us the token," Lin Jimin said nonchalantly. The fish gambling on the 1st and 2nd floors is a large mixed type, with a bunch of people gathered around a few large tanks full of fish eggs. You can choose, pay, and hatch them yourself. But things are different starting from the 3rd floor. The price of 4th-level flying fish eggs is already not cheap, so they are all sold in private rooms. Rumor has it that when it comes to box number 12, the closer the number is to the front, the greater the probability of getting a big shipment. Although this is just a rumor, gamblers love to believe it. There is a different world inside the box. It looks like the size of an ordinary room, but it feels very spacious once you enter. Snow-white carpets, gorgeous utensils, crystal tanks, and fish eggs that sparkle with various colors. "Ahem, junior brother, if you like that fish egg, just use the token in your hand to remove the restriction. However, once it is removed, you will not be able to get a refund. After you have chosen one, you can incubate it. Professionals will come to assess the price. You can choose to sell it to Fiel or take it away for yourself. The number displayed on the token is the spiritual stone you have to pay or earn." After roughly explaining the process of gambling on fish, Lin Ju couldn't wait to go find his dream love. After parting with the unreliable senior brother Lin, Chen Zhuge thought that since he was already here, he might as well have some fun and experience new things. There are dozens of fish eggs in each crystal water tank. The tanks with slightly fewer eggs have been selected by others. There are nearly 100 water tanks in the box, and there is one or several monks surrounding each water tank. Chen Zhuge found a water tank with only one cultivator present. Who knew that as soon as she approached, the female cultivator said coldly, "If you come here just to get close to me, there is no need. A fish egg is worth 100 spirit stones. I am not interested in you, so don't waste your spirit stones." Chen Zhuge looked at the female cultivator speechlessly. She was indeed good-looking, with charming almond-shaped eyes, but it was not like he had not seen beautiful women before. Even senior sister Zhen Yan, who had a stern face all day long, was no worse than this female cultivator. These words almost made Chen Zhuge angry. He ignored this narcissistic female cultivator. Chen Zhuge had just observed that the fish eggs could not be touched before purchase, but after purchase, they could be touched. As long as his luck was not too bad, he could use the golden finger to purify them. He would not make much money, but at least he would not lose too much. There was a groove on the surface of the water tank. Chen Zhuge thought about it and put the token in. He saw layers of patterns on the surface of the water tank, and then a light curtain appeared. Looking at the glowing dots on the light curtain, Chen Zhuge made a quick comparison and found that they were the positions of the fish eggs in the water tank. He randomly clicked on a fish egg emitting blue light, and saw that the number on the token, which was originally 0, jumped to 100. This operation really shocked Chen Zhuge. After all, they were cultivating immortals, so technology couldn't be much different from the world without supernatural powers in their previous life. It was just that spiritual energy was more convenient and efficient. Looking at the blue fish eggs floating out of the water tank, Chen Zhuge reached out and grabbed them. After checking with the golden finger, Chen Zhuge found that the quality of the fish eggs was not very good. The third-level blue water spirit fish is also mixed with a large amount of other bloodlines. It would be great if this thing could be worth a few spirits. After extracting the 3 largest bloodlines, the purity only increased slightly. It seems that I have lost money. My idea is really too idealistic. Senior, do you want to hatch them on the spot? The servant who brought the 2 people in earlier saw that Chen Zhuge had already purchased the fish eggs, and immediately said with a smile on his face. Sure. The third-level blue water spirit fish is of no use to Chen Zhuge, so he might as well open it himself. He can't take it home to raise it, that's not suitable. Please wait a moment, Senior. The attendant made a secret gesture with his hands, which turned into a beam of light and shot towards the fish eggs. Click, click. The blue fish eggs slowly burst, and a sky blue spirit fish broke out of the shell. The attendant took out a piece of white jade and tested it on the head of the spirit fish. He said, Senior, this is a third-level blue water spirit fish with medium blood purity. It is worth 4 upper spirits. Do you want to sell it to us directly or keep it for yourself? Sell it. Chen Zhuge waved his hand. I told you, there's no need to waste spirit stones on me. The female cultivator said sarcastically after watching Chen Zhuge's operations. Chen Zhuge was speechless and immediately changed the water tank to an empty one to avoid being annoyed by the narcissistic female cultivator. Chen Zhuge brushed another fish egg, but before he had time to check the blood of the fish egg, he heard a chaotic sound. It's a 5th-level azure sea flying fish. It's very powerful. It's just shit luck. I've bought dozens of them, but I haven't encountered a single level 5 one. Chen Zhuge grabbed the fish eggs and took a closer look. He saw a cultivator in the nascent soul stage holding a green spirit fish in his hand. He said proudly, I'll sell this fish. How much spirit stones? Senior, 3,200 supreme spirits. The servant following behind the Jindan cultivator also said with a smile on his face. Okay, I'll buy it. The nascent soul cultivator said with joy. As fish spirit beasts, their combat power is generally not strong. The actual price of an ordinary 5th-level spirit fish is generally only around 15,000 upper spirits. This blue sea flying fish is worth more than 3,000 upper spirits. This cultivator is really lucky. Chen Zhuge, who was watching the excitement on the side, looked thoughtfully at the fish eggs he had just bought. The blood extracted from the first fish egg just now contained the blood of a 5th-level blue sea flying fish. The main blood of this fish egg was only 4th level, but it also contained the blood of a blue sea flying fish. If every fish egg has the blood of this spiritual fish, based on the blood concentration, if I buy about 10 more eggs, I will be 100% sure to get a blue sea flying fish. Isn't that pure profit? Chen Zhuge's eyes lit up when he figured out the key. It's not easy to find such a good place to make money. Chapter 27. The Birth of the Fish King. The second 4th-level black water spirit fish, medium purity, a small profit of 79 high-level spirits, the current token is. The third-level silver fish, medium purity, blood loss of 169 upper spirits, token. The 4th one. The 5th one. Chen Zhuge, who was frantically buying fish eggs, also attracted the attention of some fish gamblers. The cultivator who had just opened the 5th-level azure sea flying fish said with a mocking look on his face, Where did you get this, young man? You bought it recklessly. Do you really think that your spiritual stones were blown here by the wind? Wait, has this guy shipped something? It seems to have really shipped. WC, it's also a blue sea flying fish. The blood of this blue sea flying fish seems to be even purer. It's top quality. Oh my god, I'm going to get rich. Senior, the buyback price is 4,400 upper spirits. The servant looked at Chen Zhuge in shock. Chen Zhuge smiled upon seeing this. He bought about 18 fish eggs in total, and finally got enough blood of the blue sea spirit fish. In total, he made about 2,800 upper spiritual spirits. This business was really good. And this spirit fish actually contains the blood of red carp. Chen Zhuge was shocked as he felt the blood belonging to the red carp. The red carp is an ancient flying fish species. It has double wings, a fiery red body, and can spit out spiritual fire from its mouth. Although it is not a mythical beast, it is indeed an auspicious beast and an extremely rare spiritual beast. I didn't expect that the Bai family actually has such good things. Could it be that they also own the real red carp? Chen Zhuge said excitedly. I thought it was just a good place to make money spirit stones, but I didn't expect there would be such a big surprise. Buy. I want to buy a lot. Red carp, wait for me. Originally, Chen Zhuge's large purchase attracted the attention of many fish gamblers. The appearance of the 5th level blue sea flying fish made Chen Zhuge the most handsome guy in this box. Even the self-indulgent Lin Ju was attracted here. Junior brother, your bet is a bit too big. Excessive gambling is harmful to your health. Lin Ju advised. Fortunately, senior brother, I just opened a top-quality 5th level blue sea flying fish. These are all earned spirit stones. It doesn't matter. Chen Zhuge explained. 5th level blue sea flying fish. Lin Ju shouted in a broken voice. What's wrong with this junior brother? He broke his own record the first time he came. I'm so jealous. With Lin Ju's chattering, Chen Zhuge finally collected the bloodline of a blue sea flying fish, and even increased the bloodline of the red carp by 2. Junior brother, you have already spent 2,000 upper spirits. Isn't this a bit too much? Lin Ju whispered. The total assets of a casual cultivator in the nascent soul stage is only this amount. Even if it is a disciple of the 10,000 Beasts sect, 2,000 upper spirits is still a considerable amount of money. Brother, I know what's going on. Chen Zhuge silently injected the blood of the blue sea flying fish in his hand while comforting Lin Ju. As the attendant injected his secret magic, the fish eggs broke out of the shell, and a small green fish shook its head and crawled out of the shell. WC, blue sea flying fish again. Lin Ju on the side was even more excited than Chen Zhuge. He looked at the little green fish with shining eyes, as if he was looking at a lover, which gave Chen Zhuge goosebumps. The bloodline is of inferior quality. The servant said with some regret. Senior, the recycling price is 2,300 upper spirits. Recycle. Chen Zhuge recycled generously. The amount and purity of the blood collected this time were a little different. He didn't expect the difference to be so big. Fortunately, he didn't lose money. The 2 occurrences of blue sea flying fish completely aroused the passion of these fish gamblers. They stopped surrounding Chen Zhuge and started looking for fish eggs, fantasizing about opening a blue sea flying fish themselves and realizing their dream of getting rich overnight. It seems that one of the parents of this batch of fish eggs is the blue sea flying fish. Lin Ju said thoughtfully. Junior brother, I am also going to make a fortune, so take it easy and don't get too carried away. Understood, senior brother. The crowd dispersed, leaving only the narcissistic female cultivator. Seeing her looking at him with hesitation, Chen Zhuge complained in his heart, no way, I won't encounter such a ridiculous thing, will I? My fellow Taoist, I don't know. The female cultivator came over, but before she could finish, Chen Zhuge interrupted her with a wave of his hand, saying, I don't know. I'm not familiar with her. Don't ask me. After saying that, Chen Zhuge immediately left the place and found another water tank to buy fish eggs. The only one left was the female cultivator, her face pale and blue. Finally, she left the box after thinking of something. With the large amount of fish eggs sold, the people at Weini Yulong had to restock them with new fish eggs. Chen Zhuge looked at the new fish eggs with a complicated expression. In addition to the normal 5th level bloodline of heavy water spirit fish, it also had the bloodline of a singing snake. The Ming snake looks like a snake, has 4 wings, 6 legs, and makes a sound like knocking on a rock. It is a disaster beast and will bring drought once it appears. What day is today? Not only the red carp, but even the singing snake appeared. This Bai family is too powerful. Chen Zhuge was a little nervous, but the bloodline of the singing snake, the disaster beast, and the auspicious beast were extremely rare spiritual beasts, even rarer than the divine beast. He really didn't want to miss it. Although the large-scale purchase of fish eggs attracted the attention of many people, because of Lin Ju's previous appearance, no one in the box dared to have any bad thoughts. Most of the cultivators who bought fish eggs on the 3rd floor were only nascent souls, with a small number of golden cores. There were surprisingly few spiritual transformations. After all, the wealth of spiritual transformations cultivators had reached a new level, and they simply looked down on the ugly ones here and had already reached the 4th and 5th floors. Although he could rely on the power of the golden finger to earn a large amount of spirit stones here, Chen Zhuge still controlled himself and basically maintained a state of neither losing nor gaining. Of course, the 3,000 upper spirit stones earned before were not counted. 2 hours later, Lin Ju looked numbly at Chen Juog, who had opened another 5th level spirit fish. He just felt that he was unlucky. The 4th level spirit fish he had opened in the whole afternoon were only a few, and he lost thousands of spirit stones. Although he did not care about this amount of spirit stones, it was too discouraging. Chen Juog, who opened the spiritual fish, silently calculated the amount of blood of the red carp and the singing snake in his mind, and found that the amount of blood of the singing snake was almost the same, but the red carp that was discovered first was still far behind, and there was basically no red carp blood in the fish eggs bought now, and even the amount of singing snake blood was not very much. Holding the next fish egg and wondering whether to continue, Chen Juog shuddered all over and complained wildly in his heart, "What the hell, is my luck really bursting? A 7th level void silverfish has appeared. Senior, do you want to open it?" The servant's charming voice brought Chen Juog back to reality. "Open it, open it." Chen Juog had no plan to keep it. It was just a 7th level spirit beast. Although the void silverfish was rare, it was not in the list of spirit beasts that Chen Juog needed. It would be more cost-effective to exchange it for spirit stones. Really? What is this? This, a 7th level void silverfish. Is this guy the fish king? He actually found a 7th level spirit fish on the 3rd floor. Junior brother, you seem to have made a fortune. The numb Lin Ju became excited again. Chapter 28. Void silverfish. The little fish, with a silvery body, floated in the air above Chen Juog's palm. The void silverfish was born with the ability to swim in the void. It had a first-rate ability to preserve its life, and its combat power was relatively weak. However, it was a 7th-order Mahayana-level spiritual beast after all. As long as it grew up, it would become a truly powerful combat force. The attendant, who had never encountered such a situation, could only smile bitterly and said, "Senior, wait a moment, this situation is beyond my scope of handling, I need to report it." The servant who left in a hurry came back soon with a handsome young man. "I was wondering who had such good luck, it turns out to be my 2 junior brothers from Wanchao sect." The young man Bai Xian said with a smile. "It turns out to be senior brother Bai." Lin Ju bowed when he saw this person. "Hey, junior brother Lin, you are too polite. It just happened that I came here to find my 3rd sister. After hearing about this, I came over to take a look." Bai Xian lifted Lin Ju's hands and said politely. "Junior brother, what should I call you?" Bai Xian asked politely. "Senior brother Bai, my name is Chen Juog." It was obvious at first glance that senior brother Bai had unfathomable cultivation, so Chen Juog said honestly. "Junior brother Chen, you're welcome. But junior brother Chen's luck is really good and enviable. I wonder if junior brother Chen plans to raise this void silverfish himself or sell it to my Bai family?" Bai Xian asked. "Senior brother Bai, I am planning to sell this spirit fish. My cultivation is not high, and I already have a lot of beasts under me. I am still unable to raise this void silverfish." Chen Juog scratched his head and said with a simple face. "How about this, junior brother, I'll take this spirit fish, and I won't let you suffer any loss. How about 10 pieces of spirit marrow?" Bai Xian pondered for a moment and shouted out a price that made Chen Juog excited. The conversion rate between spiritual stones is 1:100, and the conversion rate between spiritual essence and high-quality spiritual stones is 1:10,000. 10 pieces of spiritual marrow are equivalent to 100,000 upper spirits, but no one will exchange spiritual marrow for upper spirits. After all, if a piece of spiritual marrow is buried in the ground, it can be turned into a miniature spiritual vein. Although it cannot be recovered, the function of spiritual marrow is to artificially create spiritual fields and spiritual springs. In addition, spiritual marrow has many other functions and can be used in all kinds of alchemy and equipment training. Just as Chen Juog was about to agree, another person came into the box. She wore a white coat draped over her face, showing off her perfect figure. She held a white jade pipe in her mouth. Her rosy lips were extremely charming. Her delicate and enchanting facial features made people sigh that she was a peerless beauty. This was Bai Feng Huang, the person in charge of the Bai family's Wanyu cage. "Second brother, you are trying to steal the business from my Wanyu cage with this price. It's really disrespectful. I will offer you 12 pieces of spiritual marrow." Bai Feng Huang said in a neither light nor heavy voice. "Third sister, what does this mean?" Bai Xian looked at Bai Feng Huang with some dissatisfaction. Although the void spirit fish is a special 7th level spirit beast, its price is not expensive because of its weak combat power. Although 10 pieces of spirit marrow are not a high price, it is also a normal price. It's nothing. It just so happens that my fish tank is in need of a nice-looking spirit fish. Bai Fenghuang sneered. Bai Xian's face turned ugly for a moment after hearing this, but he immediately regained his composure and said, "Then give it to my third sister." Watching Bai Xian walk away, Bai Fenghuang sneered twice, then looked at the lucky guy Chen Zhuge and said, "From the 10,000 Beast sect? Which peak? What's your name?" Replying to senior, "I am Chen Zhuge from Baiko Peak." Chen Zhuge said with a stiff face. It seemed like he was involved in a serious family struggle. Blowing out a smoke ring, Bai Fenghuang said, 12 pieces of spiritual essence, this void silver fish, I'll take it away. Waving her hand, she took the silver fish from Chen Zhuge's hand. Bai Fenghuang leaned over and stopped a few centimeters away from Chen Zhuge's face, and said charmingly, "Lucky little guy, I'll remember you." After taking the void silverfish, Bai Fenghuang left these ambiguous words and then left enchantingly. Lin Ju approached with a sly smile on his face and said, "Junior brother, not only did you get rich today, but you also had good luck with women. Why don't you try to capture Bai Fenghuang? She is one of the few people in the Bai family who is closest to becoming an immortal in this generation." "Senior brother, do you know what you are saying?" Chen Zhuge said speechlessly. "Really? I'm just kidding. But junior brother, you'd better not get too close to the Bai family." Lin Ju shook his head. Since the departure of the great elder of Feiyu Peak, who was also the ancestor of the Bai family, although the Bai family is still affiliated with the Wanchao sect, its power in Feiyu Peak is getting weaker day by day. It is said that the immortal ancestor of the Bai family does not live long. The lifespan of an immortal is 100,000 years, and the Bai family has been established for nearly 30,000 years. Lin Ju shook his head and said. Chen Zhuge did not respond. He was not stupid. Such internal affairs of a big family were beyond the reach of a small Yuanying like me. The White Phoenix was very beautiful, but he was not the kind of person who would risk his life for a woman. "Okay, junior brother, it's time for us to go to Huaxian Tower." Lao Zhang sent a message saying that he and junior sister Zhen have already gone there. Lin Ju said. "It is good. The income from this fish gambling, in addition to the 12 spiritual marrows, was nearly 8,000 upper spiritual spirits. After all, I tried my best to control myself from losing money later, so I must make a small profit, so I earned 8,000 upper spiritual spirits. What a great place!" After leaving the fish cage, Chen Zhuge secretly praised it in his heart. After Chen Zhuge left, the fish gamblers in the box on the third floor began to spread the name of Chen Zhuge, the Fish King. On the other side, Master Zhang had already brought Jinyan to Huaxian Tower. As an industry of the then first-rate Wangxian Valley, the Flower Fairy Tower's main feature was its fragrant flowers and intoxicating beauties. Its unique Flower Fairy dance made cultivators of all stages linger, and every cultivator was proud to have a disciple from the Flower Fairy Valley. "Master, this place is not suitable," Zhen Yan said seriously as she looked at the colorful archway and the scantily clad woman inside. "Master Zhen, junior sister, although I am a little older, we are indeed of the same generation. This is the property of Huaxian Valley. Although it looks very exposed, it is all formal. As the saying goes, food, sex and nature are all important. Besides, we are just here to eat, not to work, so don't think too much, junior sister." Master Zhang deceived. "Old Zhang, you are so dishonest. You even deceived the young girl." The old monk who was about to enter the room said to Master Zhang with contempt. "Master Zhang is worthy of being Master Zhang. He is old and thick-skinned. He didn't take anything back at all. He took Jinyan and went to the small attic. It only took less than a quarter of an hour to get from the 10,000 fish cage to the Flower Fairy Valley." Looking at the colorful, revealing dances, and the decadent atmosphere inside, Chen Zhuge couldn't help but ask, "Is this the brothel in the world of immortal cultivation? Isn't this a place that senior sister Zhen shouldn't come to?" Facing Chen Zhuge's soul-searching question, Lin Ju coughed twice awkwardly and said, "Junior brother, we are not here to do anything bad. The 100 flowers cakes in Huaxian Valley are unique." Looking at Lin Ju who rushed in a panic, Chen Zhuge's mouth twitched and he followed him without saying anything. Chapter 29. Flower Fairy Dance. The private room that Master Zhang booked is on the third floor. After all, he is a Mahayana cultivator, so the style of the room will naturally not be too low. Don't be polite later. Don't be fooled by Lao Zhang's decent appearance. When he was young, he played more lavishly than we imagined. Lin Ju said with a wink. Chen Zhuge didn't listen to Lin Ju's nonsense at all. As a single man in both his past and present lives, Chen Zhuge had long been attracted by those exposed waists and thighs. This is much better than those short videos from my previous life. They are all cultivators. You know, as long as they can build a foundation, those female cultivators won't be too ugly. Of course, there are exceptions. Hey, junior brother, do you have to look like a fool? Lin Ju pushed Chen Zhuge twice speechlessly. Chen Zhuge came back to his senses and said shyly, brother, I have never seen such a scene. Forget it, I forgive you. But when we get there, don't do this again after we go in, otherwise you will be uncomfortable with junior sister Zhen's sharp tongue. Lin Ju seemed to have thought of some bad experiences and complained. Huaxian Tower is not actually a brothel. The original intention of Huaxian Valley to open Huaxian Tower was to allow the disciples in the valley to better master the Huaxian dance. As the saying goes, are you using this to test the cotters? Huaxian Valley had to undergo reforms, and the lobby on the first floor no longer looked serious. But in fact, apart from the lobby, the floors above were still very serious. Without those tempting scenes, Chen Zhuge would not blush. Lin Ju sat down in a swaggering manner as soon as he entered the third-floor private room. He grabbed the guanyin bottle on the wine table and took a sip, saying, "It's great. The 100 Flowers wine from Huaxian Valley is still so sweet. Little bastard, be serious. It's a rare occasion to have a real flower fairy dance at night, so don't get drunk." Zhang Jing, also known as Zhang Zizhu, scolded with a smile. "Lao Zhang, is this true?" Huaxian Wu seemed to be a very good thing, and Lin Ju also widened his eyes. "I am your senior brother. If you keep calling me Lao Zhang, be careful or I will hang you up outside." Zhang Jing said dissatisfiedly. Okay, brother Zhang, is the flower fairy dance you mentioned real?" Lin Ju toasted politely. "It's true. I heard that one of the true disciples of this generation of Flower Fairy Valley has come to Beizuo Fairy City. This flower fairy dance tonight should be her first performance. I wonder how deep the Taoist meaning is." Zhang Jing took a sip and said. "My two senior brothers, I wonder what is so special about this flower fairy dance?" Chen Zhuge interrupted in a low voice. Zhang Jing was silent for a while after hearing this and said, "Flower fairy dance is a good thing. Everything has its own Dao, and dance naturally has one too. Flower fairy dance is a dance that points directly to the Dao. Watch carefully later. What you can comprehend depends on your understanding and luck." As soon as the voice fell, all the dancers on the third-floor stage had left. A noble lady bowed in the middle of the stage and said, "Dear guests, thank you for your support today. Next is the first performance of the disc falling dance, one of the 7 true traditions of Huaxian Valley, the flower fairy dance." "Is this true? It's really the flower fairy dance?" the young man in the next private room said in disbelief. "You are not lying, are you?" The owner of Beihua Tower did not answer the questions raised by many cultivators, but instead left the stage. The appearance of Dai Luohu broke everyone's doubts. Her pure and elegant appearance attracted everyone's attention. Her skin was as white as snow, and her eyes were as bright and shining as stars. Her jet black hair fell on her shoulders, fluttering in the wind like clouds in the sky. She was wearing a light gauze skirt, which fluttered gently as she danced. Her posture was elegant, and her every move seemed to carry a magical power that was intoxicating. The elegant posture and light dance steps are like a delicate peony slowly blooming. As the pace quickens, Chen Zhuge feels as if he is in a sea of flowers. Inspirations for previously difficult problems suddenly flashed through my mind and became easily solved. On the stage, Dai Luohu's flower fairy dance was still continuing, and the spiritual energy around it began to slowly gather around it, forming the shape of a peony flower. Gathering spirits through dance and transforming peonies with spirits, you have actually got the true meaning of the flower fairy dance. It's really the true teaching. It's amazing. Zhang Jing, the only one who didn't fall into enlightenment, said softly in disbelief. The dance ended, and as the butterfly stopped dancing, the peony flowers that were filled with spiritual energy slowly withered, and the monks on the third floor were speechless. After a long time, the 4 people in the room returned to normal, and the epiphany ended. Zhang Jing said with envy, "What good luck! It's actually the Huaxian Valley Master who has received the true meaning, who is here to perform in person. It's a pity that Dai Luohu's cultivation is not good enough, so I can't enjoy this opportunity. Senior brother, you are about to pass the tribulation, how dare you say this? Lin Ju came back to his senses and rolled his eyes speechlessly. Zhang Jing is the strongest person in Baikou Peak, apart from the ancestors who have become immortals and the uncles who are transcending the tribulation. It will probably happen that he will transcend the tribulation in a few years. I just don't know who will take over the guarding of Baikou in Baizuo Immortal City in the future. Overcoming tribulation, becoming an immortal, oh, let's stop talking, let's have a drink. Not knowing what he was thinking about, Zhang Jing sighed helplessly. Everyone was eating and drinking. The 100 flowers cake and 100 flowers dew from Huaxian Valley were both excellent and tasted very good. At the table, Lin Ju also recounted the experience of the two of them going to gamble on fish in the afternoon. After hearing this, Zhang Jing put down his glass and thought for a while before saying, Junior brother Chen, this matter needs attention. The Bai family's ancestors' deadline is indeed approaching. The Bai family has not been able to produce another celestial being in the past 30,000 years. Without a celestial being in charge, the Bai family can't handle Baizuo Immortal City. In addition, the relationship between the current Feiyu Peak Master and the Bai family's ancestor is not good. They should be looking for external aid. Brother, what you mean is that Bai Fenghuang and Bai Xian want to get close to you through us, and then win over Baikou Peak. Lin Ju continued. It's not that simple. Not to mention that I'm just a Mahayana. Even if I'm a true immortal, I can't decide such things. But probably he is thinking of establishing a relationship. After all, a big immortal, even if the deadline is approaching, he still has thousands of years to hold on. No one can say for sure about such things. Zhang Jing shook his head. Then he reminded her again, don't wander around the city these days. The mission has been completed, so you should go back soon. This flower fairy dance will be enough for you to digest for a while. However, senior brother Zhang, why did the true teachings of the Flower Fairy Valley come to our 10,000 beast domain? I remember that our relationship with the Flower Fairy Valley was very ordinary. Lin Ju still didn't quite understand why the true teachings of the Flower Fragrance Valley appeared. Zhang Jing took a sip of the wine in his hand and said, not long ago, the area under the jurisdiction of Huaxian Valley was invaded by the demon abyss. Although they repelled it, they also suffered a lot of losses. The true teachings of Huaxian Valley are the most beautiful in the heavens. Even if they can't find powerful external aid, some ordinary forces are still willing to serve as pawns. Okay, let's drink and eat, why are you talking about this? Zhang Jing came back to his senses and cursed with a smile, and the light atmosphere in the box returned to normal. Chapter 30. Return. Dai Luohu stepped down from the stage and took off her light clothes in the room. The towering parts were so high that the white bird on the belly band could hardly fly. The slender white thighs were as charming as white jade, and the body looked like that of a fairy. The maidservant who served Dai Luohu said with a flushed face, Senior sister is really a body made in heaven. If a man saw her, he would be completely obsessed with her. Haha, those people don't pay attention to appearance. A sad expression appeared on Dai Luohu's beautiful face. From the outside, the invasion of the demon abyss 3,000 years ago only eroded a small area under the jurisdiction of the Flower Fairy Valley and was quickly repelled. But in fact, the impact of that invasion of the demon abyss was far more than it seemed. In order to prevent the demon abyss from causing too much damage, the Valley Master immediately mobilized a large number of immortals. However, he never expected that he could not repel it in one step, and was even in a disadvantageous position. He had no choice but to ask the Valley's supreme ancestor to take action, and only with the help of the sex immortal weapon did he repel the demon abyss. In that battle, not only did many immortals die, but even an ancestor of the heavenly fairyland died, and the only golden immortal with sufficient lifespan was also seriously injured. No matter how famous the Flower Fairy Valley is, it cannot change the fact that it is just an ordinary first-class sect. Not to mention comparing it with the Wanchao sect as a whole, even the overall strength of the four inner sect peaks may be stronger than the entire Flower Fairy Valley. The purpose of Dai Luohu's coming to the 10,000 Beasts domain this time is very simple, to win over the 10,000 Beasts gate, even if it is just one of its inner gate's mountains. After all, the node of the Demon Abyss invasion is ready to move again, and this time the Demon Abyss invasion force is definitely stronger than the last time. As long as the 10,000 Beasts gate can be won over, it will not be a threat. So for this purpose, Dai Luowu was willing to pay any price. The other 6 senior sisters did the same, and each went to the 6 strongest spheres of influence closest to Huaxian Valley, in order to attract strong enough external aid for Huaxian Valley. Chen Zhuge and the others naturally didn't know Dai Luowu's determination. After the 4 of them had eaten and drunk their fill, they returned to Baikozai. Next day the 3 of them boarded the flying boat and left Beizuo Xianchang early in the morning. Before leaving, Lin Ju kept complaining that he didn't get to drink Beizuo Xianjiu and eat Baiulangjiu. Fortunately, Zhang Jing, the landlord, gave each of them 3 jars of Beizuo Xianjiu and some small gifts when they parted. As for Baiulangjiu, this thing had to be ordered in line, so the 3 of them were destined not to enjoy it. On the flying boat, Chen Zhuge knocked on Jinyan's door. "Junior brother Chen, is there anything wrong?" Zhen Yan, who invited Chen Zhuge in, said expressionlessly. Chen Zhuge said hesitantly, senior sister, I saw that senior brother Zhang gave you some girls' supplies that are unique to Beizuo Immortal City. I wonder if you can let me buy some." Jinyan tilted her head in confusion. "That's it. I have a moon rabbit and it loves these things. It pestered me to buy them for it on the day of the mission, so I almost got late. I didn't expect to be in such a hurry to get back, and I didn't have the chance to buy them. It just so happened that senior brother Zhang gave you some." Chen Zhuge sat up straight and explained. Looking at the junior brother who pretended not to care, Jinyan took out a bunch of items and said, "I don't need these, you can take them." Chen Zhuge waved his hand to put them away, leaving behind a pile of spirit stones, and returned to his room as if escaping. Looking at his junior fellow apprentice who was fleeing in a panic, Zhen Yan showed a hint of a smile on her face, but it disappeared in an instant. Chen Zhuge returned to the room, looked at the girl's supplies in the storage ring, and muttered viciously, "Damn you Meng, if you don't practice well for me this time, you'll be dead." Outside Baikou Peak Cave, Yu Meng was riding on Dabai. She sneezed suddenly, rubbed her nose, and said in dissatisfaction, "Master, why haven't you come back yet? It's been so long." "UMN, hurry up." Hei Ian, who was standing proudly opposite UMN, shouted. "You damn black dog, why are you so anxious? I'll beat you to pieces this time." Yu Meng replied viciously. Behind the 2 beasts stood half of the red flame sheep. As Yu Meng and Hei Yan shouted, thousands of sheep rushed towards the opposite flock. Dust was flying, flames were splashing, and the heroic war made the grass turtle and the colorful deer, who had just arrived, shrink their bodies and hide deeper. The battle lasted for several hours, and in the end, the red flame sheep led by Black Eyes were superior. "You damn black dog, let you be so proud for a while, but next time I will definitely beat you to death." After saying that, she continued to treat the red flame sheep that were seriously injured. This was a small game played by the spirit beasts under Chen Zhuge in the valley. To be more precise, it was a small game played by Hei Ian and UMN. The main reason was that Zhang Ji was too violent and would easily get involved himself during a fight, breaking the rules, causing the 2 beasts to dislike playing with him. In addition, Hei Ian is responsible for taking care of the red flame sheep, and Yu Meng has powerful recovery and treatment abilities, so this huge little game has never been discovered by Chen Zhuge. It was smooth sailing when we set out, but full of twists and turns when we return. Looking at the tribulation cultivator who was beaten badly by Zhang Ji, Chen Zhuge was a little speechless. Because there was no Tongtian Kun in Beizuo Immortal City, and it was impossible to reach Baikou Garden directly, the 3 of them got off the flying boat at the Immortal City closest to Baikou Garden. Among the 3, Chen Zhuge had the lowest cultivation level and experience, and there was no rush to complete the mission, so the 3 of them took Chen Zhuge's small flying boat. Chen Zhuge's flying boat is an ordinary version of the 4th order flying boat. Its speed is not very fast, but in the eyes of those poor cultivators who can't even afford a flying boat or better quality magical tools, Chen Zhuge is a rich man. This is already the 3rd wave of robbery cultivators who have been beaten by Zhang Ji. "Junior brother, you have trained this fighting demon ape very well. With the cultivation level of the middle nascent soul stage, he is able to defeat 3 casual cultivators of the same level." Lin Ju commented. "His combat power is good, but his personality is too manic. He still needs to be polished. He should practice the demon ape transformation in his sect. He has not mastered the most essential part of the Dharma realm of heaven and earth. Otherwise, his combat power could be improved to a higher level." Zhen Yan said seriously. "It's like this, Zhang Ji has a rather violent personality and gets easily angry when fighting. He has never been able to master the Dharma realm in demonic ape transformation. I wonder if senior sister has any method. Chen Zhuge asked for advice. There is a desolate secret place on Baiko Peak. Let your magic ape go into practice. Zhen Yan suggested after thinking for a while. Lin Zhu smiled when he heard this and nodded to indicate that it was suitable. Along the way, Lin Zhu and Zhen Yan also taught Chen Zhuge a lot, but Lin Zhu let himself go a little after completing the task, and it was senior sister Zhen Yan who taught him more. This also made Chen Zhuge feel better and better about Zhen Yan. She is really a dedicated senior sister. 7 days later, the three finally arrived at Baiko Garden. As for the mission, when it was delivered to Baikozai in Beizuo Immortal City, senior brother Zhongjing had already replied to the mission hall, saying that the mission was completed, otherwise the three would not have leisurely ridden in Chen Zhuge's small flying boat on their way back. After going to the mission hall to claim their merits, the three of them officially parted ways. I wonder if I can meet such kind fellow disciples like senior brother Lin Zhu and senior sister Zhen Yan in the next mission. Chen Zhuge returned to the cave and heard the harsh shouting and the deafening roars of the red flame sheep coming from the newly built spirit beast garden next to the cave. He couldn't help but feel furious. Chapter 31. Neighbors. Junior brother, are you new here? When Chen Zhuge was furious, a handsome young man with a smile on his face suddenly appeared beside him. Putting away the anger on his face, Chen Zhuge forced a smile and said, "Excuse me, who is your senior brother? According to secular relationships, we should be considered neighbors. My cave is by a small river about 30 miles behind you." The young man said with a smile. "So that's how it is. I haven't visited you since I took over. Please forgive me." Chen Zhuge bowed. "Hey, junior brother, you are being too polite when you say this. Am I coming here just for this? I just want to tell you that the spirit beast in your home is very interesting. During the time you were away, it played sheep battles in it every day and it was very lively." The young man said with a smile. Chen Zhuge thought to himself, "This is embarrassing for me. Brother, don't worry, I will handle it well." Chen Zhuge said, gritting his teeth. "Hey, junior brother, that's not what I meant. Forget it, let me handle it first. I'll come over later." Seeing his junior brother with a bad look on his face, the young man changed his tone. The young man flashed back to his own cave, looked in the direction of Chen Zhuge's cave, and chuckled, "Interesting junior brother, interesting spirit beasts, moon rabbits and hellhounds? Really interesting. So, explain it." Chen Zhuge crossed his arms over his chest as he looked at the red flame sheep staggering around in the spirit beast garden, and whispered to the trembling Yu Meng and He Yan. As for Zhang Ji who had just been released, he was standing aside and laughing. Yu Meng, who was still thinking about explaining herself with her head down, subconsciously looked at He Yan, only to find that this unambitious thing was actually prostrating himself on the ground, as if he knew he was wrong and would allow himself to be dealt with. Seeing this, Yu Meng became furious. He had really brought shame to the spirit beast. "Actually, I can explain it." Yu Meng mustered up the courage to whisper. Chen Zhuge stared at Yu Meng who had spoken with sharp eyes and said, "Okay, you explain." "Well, actually, master, haven't you discovered that our red flame sheep is particularly delicious and energetic?" Yu Meng asked quickly with her little head turned. Chen Zhuge laughed angrily, "Do you think this is your credit? Forget it, why should I be angry with you? You two should pack up the flock of sheep for me. As for the punishment, all the spirit beasts that were originally for Zhang Ji to see will belong to you, He Yan. As for you, Yu Meng, the things you asked me to buy before you left have been confiscated now." Chen Zhuge was not actually that angry. The two spirit beasts, Yu Meng and He Yan, were originally purified by the golden finger. Compared with the purification of the already born young, the golden finger accelerates their maturity, but their intelligence will be obviously defective. Yu Meng and He Yan both used the golden finger to purify their blood when they were spirit beast eggs, so their intelligence was not greatly affected, but their personalities were a bit strange. Chen Zhuge was not sure whether it was because of the golden finger or their own personalities. As for the battle song, the blood of the fighting demon ape is relatively rare, and the number of times it has been injected is very few, so there is basically no effect. Its bellicosity is also due to its own race. After sending away the two spirit beasts, Chen Zhuge came to the small secret realm and looked at the blood-red mist extracted from the sea of consciousness. In the mist, he could vaguely see a fuzzy singing snake swimming in it. The bloodline of the Ming snake, a disaster beast. Chen Zhuge stared at it for a while, and finally took it back into his mind. The Ming snake is not suitable for him for the time being, and the spirit beast garden is not big enough. The appearance of the Ming snake will cause drought. This problem must be solved first, and then he can consider whether to release the Ming snake. After dealing with the trivial matters in the spirit beast garden, 2 hours had passed. It turned out that raising spirit beasts is very tiring no matter in which world. After spending a quarter of an hour cleaning the courtyard, Chen Zhuge planned to visit his senior brother. He couldn't really wait in the courtyard for others to visit him. He had to have some courtesy. After all, he was not a child of destiny or from a noble family, and his cultivation was not even as good as others. About 30 miles, is this the place? Chen Zhuge looked at the exquisite and beautiful bamboo building not far away. The walls on all 4 sides of the bamboo building were covered with various vine-like spiritual plants. There was a small sea of flowers not far from the bamboo building. On the colorful flowers, there were many spirit bees working hard to collect honey. There was also a beehive about 1 meter high hanging under the eaves at the top of the bamboo building. It seems that this senior brother is very elegant and is also a spirit plant master. Chen Zhuge muttered in his heart. Senior brother, I'm here to visit you. There was no restriction outside the bamboo building, but Chen Zhuge still stopped outside the bamboo building and shouted. Hey, junior brother, have you dealt with it? I was thinking of visiting you later, but I didn't expect you to come directly here. The senior brother, holding a pot of tea in his hand, said in surprise. I still don't know what to call you, brother. My name is Yechenjai. Yechenjai brought Chen Zhuge to the lobby on the first floor of the bamboo building and asked with a smile. Chen Zhuge, senior brother yet? Chen Zhuge still didn't know why the senior brother suddenly came to him. In the mortal world, areas within 30 miles are not considered neighbors, and in the world of immortal cultivation, the word neighbor does not appear very often. After pouring a cup of tea for Chen Zhuge, Yechenjai motioned for Chen Zhuge to taste it and said, I like drinking tea, especially sweet tea and scented tea. It would be even better if the two were combined. How do you feel, junior brother? Yechenjai asked Chen Zhuge after he finished tasting. The first sip was of rich floral fragrance, and the light sweetness as it passed through the throat avoided the choking smell. The slight increase in magic power after taking the sip told Chen Zhuge that this sweet flower tea might be a good thing. Brother, the tea is great. Chen Zhuge praised. Junior brother, I won't hide it from you. The main reason I came to your house this time is because the 2 spirit beasts in your family were making quite a noise, and it just so happens that there are only 2 of us here. Yechenjai put down the teacup and spoke. Brother, I'm sorry to bother you. If there is any loss, please tell me. Chen Zhuge said with a frightened look on his face. Junior brother, what do you mean by this? Yechenjai was a little displeased. How could I, Yechenjai, be such a person? I saw that your junior brother's 2 spirit beasts are the moon rabbit and the hellhound. The bloodlines of these 2 spirit beasts are rare in the entire Wanshao sect. I wanted to ask your junior brother if he has any rarer spirit beasts. I can offer a high price. Yechenjai said bluntly. Chen Zhuge heaved a sigh of relief and said, Brother, I have cultivated some spirit beasts for combat, but I don't really understand what you mean by rare spirit beasts. If you have time, you can go to the spirit beast garden with me to take a look. That's fine. How about tomorrow? My junior brother is coming to my place today, so I have to entertain him. Yechenjai said politely. Brother, I'm afraid we'll have to do this next time. I just got home from a mission, and there are still a lot of things to do in the garden. I only took care of some emergencies before. Chen Zhuge said with a wry smile. Okay, then I won't force you to stay here. You can go to my place tomorrow and then come to my place and let me treat you well. Yechenjai said. Brother, you're welcome. I'll be the one to entertain you tomorrow. That's settled. Brother, I'll go back and get busy. Chen Zhuge left in a hurry without waiting for Yechenjai to refuse. On the way back, Chen Zhuge slowed down his pace. He still didn't understand why the senior brother, whose cultivation was obviously much higher than his, would ask him to buy a spirit beast. Could it be the same as senior brother Lin En? Senior brother Ye didn't look so unreliable. If you can't figure it out, wait until tomorrow. After all, they are both inner disciples. Although their cultivation levels are different, their statuses are the same. Chapter 32. Medicine Rabbit. Chen Zhuge returned to the room and did not meditate to practice. Instead, he lay down and slept like an ordinary person for the first time in a long time. The other side. Finally, Yu Meng and He Yan worked for a whole afternoon and finally dealt with the red flame sheep flock. Because they were afraid of being held accountable by Chen Zhuge, they handled it very carefully this time, which resulted in the slow progress. It's finally okay, black dog. Why do you think the owner is angry? These lambs won't die. An accident once in a while is just the right way to give us a snack. Yu Meng complained. Not hearing any reply, Yu Meng looked back in surprise and found that He Yan had fallen asleep out of exhaustion surrounded by a group of golden dogs. Yu Meng clenched her little paws and said angrily, "You damn black dog, you really bring shame to the spirit beast." Under the moonlight, Yu Meng's figure looked even lonelier. Dabai quietly emerged from the bushes, and the huge snake head approached Yu Meng cautiously. Its spiritual consciousness fluctuated, probably trying to comfort Yu Meng. Not sure if she said something wrong, but Yu Meng, who had been quiet, jumped up and down in dissatisfaction and shouted, "I'm afraid of him." "Are you kidding? I'm just giving him face." Looking at the furious Yu Meng, Dabai ran away with a whoosh. His huge body nimbly dived into the bushes and disappeared in an instant. That night, in the spirit beast garden, Yu Meng's angry curses continued to be heard, scaring all the spirit beasts so much that they dared not sleep peacefully. As expected, any woman, whether human or animal, is difficult to serve. Early next morning, Chen Zhuge, who was still sleeping, was awakened by shouting outside. "I haven't slept for a long time." Chen Zhuge sighed. Ever since he was able to use meditation instead of sleep after building his foundation, Chen Zhuge has only slept lying down a few times over the years. After rushing to the gate and welcoming Ye Chenjai to the hall, Chen Zhuge made tea and chatted with him. "Senior brother Ye, you came really early." "I am not ready yet." Ye Chenjai smiled and shook his head, saying, "Junior brother, this is a gift I brought you." Pointing to the white jade bottle that was glowing with white light, Ye Chenjai explained, "This is the flower dew I specially collected this morning. Although it is not a valuable item, it is very good for making tea or wine." "Brother, what are you doing? You're bringing gifts with you. This is too polite. Besides, I didn't bring anything yesterday. Isn't this humiliating me?" Chen Zhuge said dissatisfiedly. "If a senior asks a junior for something, just accept it. My subordinate is in charge of the spirit beasts in the Sea of Flowers. He was in a bad mood today and hasn't come back. Yesterday, I asked you to buy a spirit beast because I wanted to buy one for her as an assistant." Ye Chenjai said with a wry smile. When Chen Zhuge heard this, he felt the same way and said, "Brother, I understand. Let's not waste time. Let's go to my spirit beast garden and take a look." In the spirit beast garden, Ye Chenjai looked at the flocks of red flame sheep, the golden dogs with shiny fur, the leisurely grass turtles, the spirit-like colorful deer and other spirit beasts, and said with emotion, "Junior brother, you have raised these spirit beasts quite well." "Brother, it works. These are just ingredients for sale. How can they be good or bad?" Chen Zhuge said with a laugh. Seeing the big picture from the small, Ye Chenjai still agreed with Chen Zhuge's breeding results. "In a little secret place I didn't expect that there is something else in my junior brother's spirit beast garden," Ye Chenjai said as he looked at the spirit beasts in the secret realm whose qi and blood were obviously much stronger. "Brother, you said that you need to find a spirit beast because of the needs of the Sea of Flowers. I have two suggestions." Chen Zhuge thought for a while and said, "Brother, please speak." Ye Chenjai was not arrogant. "I wonder what requirements senior brother has regarding strength, or bloodline." Chen Zhuge asked a question first. "There are no special requirements for this, but of course the higher the better. Not too high, it would be best to have a 5th level. If not, a 4th level is also fine." Ye Chenjai said. "If you want to exchange adult spirit beasts of the 4th or 5th level in the spirit beast hall in the sect, you need merit points. No wonder senior brother Ye came to me, but there shouldn't be too few people like me who raise spirit beasts in Baiko Peak. A medicine rabbit with 5th level bloodline and 4th level cultivation, and a unicorn with 6th level bloodline and 4th level cultivation." Chen Zhuge said the names of the two beasts. These are all variants of the spirit beasts in the valley. Because the number and types of spirit beasts in the spirit beast garden have been greatly expanded in the past few years, and some of the blood injections have reached the limit, Chen Zhuge tried to cultivate a large number of other spirit beasts. The medicine rabbit and unicorn are both new variants. By the way, senior brother, the minds of the spiritual beasts I cultivate here are a little immature. We need to improve their intelligence by ourselves. Generally speaking, we can use the enlightenment pills. As for if we want them to be the same as ordinary people, we may need to use the wisdom fruit. After hesitating for a while, Chen Zhuge still pointed out this defect. It was the same with senior brother Lin En before. Of course, senior brother Lin En didn't care. These are all minor problems. However, my junior brother was able to cultivate the medicinal rabbit spirit beast from Medicine King Valley. This really opened my eyes. Ye Chenjai looked at Chen Zhuge again and said. Originally, I thought that senior brother Lin En asked me to come and ask this junior brother to buy a spiritual beast because of the favor of the thunder deer, but I didn't expect that this junior brother really had something. Medicine rabbits are the favorites of alchemists and spiritual plant masters because they are naturally able to recognize hundreds of herbs and know how to process some spiritual materials. However, there are not many medicine rabbits in the Wanshao Gate. They are the special spiritual beasts of the Medicine King Valley. Looking at the two green rabbits in front of them, holding a third-level diamond bamboo staff in their claws, when Chen Zhuge and senior brother Ye arrived, the two medicine rabbits were discussing swords. The appearance of the two people frightened him, and he showed a vigilant attitude, but when he saw it was Chen Zhuge, he immediately relaxed and continued the sword debate that he had just finished. Chen Zhuge was surprised. These two medicine rabbits seemed to be quite intelligent. Could it be that they were born with the ability to recognize hundreds of herbs? Did they cure themselves? Without mentioning Chen Zhuge's future, Ye Chenjai looked at the two healthy and high-quality medicine rabbits in front of him with satisfaction and said, Junior brother, I want both of them, 5,000 upper spirits. All things are precious because they are rare. Although the medicine rabbit is a special spiritual beast, its bloodline is only of the 5th level after all. Normally, it is priced at a high price of 1,500 upper spiritual beasts, but there are few medicine rabbits in the Wanshao Gate, which leads to a serious premium on the medicine rabbit. Brother, isn't this price a bit high? I've inquired about the price of medicinal rabbits in this sect. The Spirit Beast Hall only offers 400 points of merit in exchange. Privately, the highest is only 2,000 upper spirit points. Chen Zhuge didn't want to take advantage of this. Business must be done steadily. His business was not a one-time deal, and he couldn't ruin his reputation. Junior brother, look carefully at the bamboo sticks in the hands of the two rabbits. Ye Chenjai reminded. Bamboo stick? Chen Zhuge took a closer look and saw that it was a 3rd-level diamond bamboo. No, it was a 5th-level diamond thunder bamboo. Junior brother, I am short-sighted. Chen Zhuge said with a wry smile. Although he relied on the golden finger to cultivate spiritual beasts, it did not mean that Chen Zhuge's knowledge in taming beasts was poor. Cultivating spiritual beasts also required contact with a large amount of spiritual materials. He did not expect that he had made a mistake this time. However, senior brother Ye was really generous. The value of these two Vajra thunder bamboos was nearly 800 upper spiritual spirits. It seemed that the price of 5,000 upper spiritual spirits was not low. I see these two medicinal rabbits also like this bamboo, so I plan to make an offer to buy them together. Senior brother, I don't like to be a bad guy, what do you think, junior brother? Ye Chenjai said with a smile. As you said, senior brother. Chen Zhuge said admiringly. Pay in one hand and deliver in one hand. After successfully obtaining another 5,000 upper spirit stones, Chen Zhuge now had nearly 20,000 spirit stones on him, not including the spirit marrow. With so many spirit stones, he could finally do what he had always wanted to do. Chapter 33. Dream. If you had a golden finger that could extract the blood of low-level spirit beasts at will and inject the extracted blood into other spirit beasts, what would you do? A spiritual beast with first-level bloodline, with no other bloodline in its body, can it break its limit by using the golden finger to strengthen its own bloodline? Unfortunately, the types of spiritual beasts are as unpredictable as the stars. Occasionally, there are spiritual beasts with only a few bloodlines, but those spiritual beasts are basically ridiculously strong and are not something Chen Zhuge can hope for. After the nascent soul stage, the number of times the golden finger could be extracted from a single spirit beast increased from 3 to 4. In other words, as long as the number of bloodlines in the body did not exceed 5, Chen Zhuge could verify the above problem. Coincidentally, the Wanshao sect happens to have a 4th-level spirit beast that is just like this. However, verifying this idea requires a large number of spirit beasts, and a large number of spirit beasts means a large number of spirit stones. A large amount of money was made this time when we went out, and it seems that it should be enough. So Chen Zhuge began to act. The fourth rank spiritual beast, the stone dragon lizard, is an ancient spiritual beast that has existed since the ancient times when immortals roamed the earth. It is amazing that a spiritual beast with fourth rank blood can survive to this day, not to mention that the blood of this stone dragon lizard is very pure, mixed with only 4 trace amounts of blood from other spiritual beasts. It is simply a miracle from the Creator. The bloodline of a spirit beast represents the upper limit of the spirit beast's adulthood. It is possible that it cannot be reached, but this possibility is rare. The upper limit can be broken, just like a cultivator breaking through a realm through cultivation, but it is difficult for a spirit beast to break through. Although the stone dragon lizard is only a 4th rank spiritual beast, there are many unconventional stone dragon lizards that have reached very high strength. The upper limit of its bloodline is difficult to break, but the less mixed bloodline there is, the higher the success rate of breaking it. This also causes the price of stone dragon lizards to remain high. As a sect that tames and breeds beasts, Wanxiaomen is one of the top sects in the heavenly realm. Naturally, they also have spiritual beasts with huge potential, and there are quite a few of them. After all, stone dragon lizards reproduce and reach adulthood very quickly. Compared with other creatures that take hundreds of years to grow, the stone dragon lizard only needs 3 short years. With certain assistance, it may only take 1 year to reach adulthood without damaging its potential. It is simply a machine for producing troops. Unfortunately, the stone dragon lizard is very slow and its combat power is not strong. Its defense is only remarkable. It would be better if it had ruled the world of low-level spirit beasts long ago. Baikou Garden Fairy City, Beast King Pavilion. 500 for 1 spiritual being. Chen Zhuge had a face full of question marks. Although the stone dragon lizard had many advantages, it had even greater disadvantages. Its flesh and blood were poisonous, and its scales, claws and fangs would become brittle after death. It could not be used to refine weapons, and its feces could be regarded as a kind of fertilizer. It could not be beaten or eaten, and the only thing that could be used was its feces. The only valuable thing was its inner elixir. No, I remember the price of a stone dragon lizard was 300 spirits before, but now it's 500. Chen Zhuge still couldn't believe it. Senior, don't you know that the stone dragon lizard raised by the elders of Qinglong Peak half a month ago has passed the tribulation and become an immortal? The servant in the shop said with envy. Chen Zhuge complained in his heart, what the hell, I finally made a fortune and can try the limits of the golden finger, and you told me that the price of stone dragon lizards has increased? This elder is really something, raising an immortal stone dragon lizard at this time, it's too much. I bought a large quantity, can you give me a discount? Chen Zhuge said with a dark face. The young servant seemed a little unconvinced. There were many people in the myriad beasts sect who raised spiritual beasts, but not many who raised stone dragon lizards in large numbers. It was only in the past half-month that the news of the stone dragon lizard becoming an immortal came out, and it became a little hot. How much would you like, senior? The servant asked carefully. I want 200. Chen Zhuge gritted his teeth. Damn it, it looks like I have to use my spiritual marrow to buy them. The number of 200 made the servant gasp in admiration, and he said, Senior, wait a moment, I'll go ask the shopkeeper. Not long after, a round, golden ball rolled over. Looking at the shopkeeper whose eyes were squeezed into a line, Chen Zhuge hesitated and asked, Shopkeeper. Hey, sir, it's me. You have a good eye. Our shop is a time-honored brand in the Wanshao Gate. My name is Qian Yi. I wonder if what you said about wanting 200 stone dragon lizards is true. Qian Yi said with a bloody mouth. Looking at the shopkeeper who seemed to be laughing, Chen Zhuge said seriously, 200 stone dragon lizards, at least half of them must be adults, how many spirit stones? I want a fair price. If not, I will go to another store. Qian Yi thought for a while and said, 5 adult stone dragon lizards, and the rest only need cubs, 50,000 upper spirits. Qian Yi gritted his teeth and said, this price is already very low. 5 adult stone dragon lizards cost 2,500 upper spirits according to the current price. Even the previous price was 1,500. Although the price of stone dragon lizard cubs is lower, it still cost about 240 upper spirits according to the previous price. After all, they grow fast, so the price will not drop much. This price was still within Chen Zhuge's budget. Thinking that he would need to pay with his spiritual marrow, Chen Juok argued, I'll pay with my spiritual marrow. 4 pieces of spiritual marrow, is that okay? The ratio between spiritual marrow and upper spirit is 1:10,000, but in fact, spiritual marrow has too many uses and benefits, so the ratio usually increases by more than %. Okay. Qian Yuyi's small eyes were narrowed so narrow that they were almost invisible, which made it impossible for Chen Juok to see his method. Chen Juok breathed a sigh of relief after using 4 pieces of spiritual marrow to capture 200 stone dragon lizards. Fortunately, the price was not too expensive and he could barely accept it. It was all because of the elders of Qinglong Peak. Return to the beast garden. Chen Juok first set up a special formation to avoid being disturbed by other spirit beasts and to prevent the stone dragon lizards from running around. The stone dragon lizard, although its name contains the word dragon, is not a species of dragon, and there is no dragon species in its mixed bloodline. There are 5 very fixed bloodlines: the stone dragon lizard bloodline, the armored stone worm bloodline, the golden stone pangolin, the grey stone rat, and the black stone snake. All of them are spiritual beasts with the word stone in their names. It is said that a master deliberately changed their names. Strangely enough, the stone dragon lizard has these 4 bloodlines mixed in it, while the spiritual beasts with these 4 bloodlines have many other bloodlines mixed in as well. All the stone dragon lizards in the spirit beast bag were released. Other spirit beasts would panic and feel uneasy in other environments, but this stone dragon lizard was very obedient. It lowered its head and ate the spirit herbs. It was indeed a spirit beast that survived from ancient times. It was very calm. The stone dragon lizard is not big, only about 2 meters long from head to tail, and the tail accounts for half of its body length. Its 4 short legs are only a few dozen centimeters high. With the rock scales, it looks like a huge stone from a distance. Its appearance is very similar to the lizard face in its previous life, but this thing is herbivorous, so the carnivorous face is wasted. 5. This experiment requires 5 stone dragon lizards as the main material, and the other stone dragon lizard cubs are burial objects for these 5 stone dragon lizards. Taking a deep breath, Chen Juok looked at the group of carefree stone dragon lizards with sharp eyes and said softly, "It's time to witness a miracle." Chapter 34, Skink Lizard Experiment. First put spirit beast rings on the 5 stone dragon lizards to prevent the spirit beasts from rioting after being strengthened. Although Chen Juok could suppress these 5 stone dragon lizards with a wave of his hand, he had the cultivation level of the 4th level after all, so he still had to restrict them. When he was about to take action, Chen Juok suddenly remembered that he could only draw blood 4 times, which meant that one of the 5 bloodlines had to be left unenhanced. Damn, if I had known I should have bought 4 adult ones. At least I could have saved 100 upper spirits. Chen Juok felt that he was at a loss. 100 upper spirits were enough for a casual cultivator at the Jindan realm to risk half his life. After thinking about it for a while, Chen Juok decided to keep the grey stone rat. After all, it was the only 2nd level bloodline among the 5 bloodlines. It was too low, only slightly better than the spirit chicken and snow rabbit. It was just to increase the species of the spirit beast garden. Chen Juok now wants to release the spirit beasts in the small secret realm. Lin En and Yechenjai's experience tells Chen Juok that selling such high bloodline spirit beasts is the correct way to open the golden finger. In the past, my cultivation was not enough, but now it is almost there. In addition, the nascent soul stage requires a lot of cultivation resources, and the tasks every 10 years are the same. I must speed up the pace of earning spirit stones and convert them into cultivation and strength. Taking out the most unfortunate adult stone dragon lizard, Chen Juok drew out its main bloodline and the other 3 bloodlines regardless of its miserable cries. He watched its body shrink and finally transform into a grey stone rat that was only half its original size. Its cultivation level also dropped to the 3rd level. Chen Juok couldn't help but feel a chill when he saw this. Every time he drew out the main bloodline of a spirit beast, he was like the evil doctor in a science fiction movie. Throwing the thoughts out of his mind and quickly dealing with the other 3 stone dragon lizards that needed their main bloodlines extracted, Chen Juok started with the armored stone beetle among the 4 experimental subjects in front of him. The previous action seemed to have scared the stone dragon lizard cubs, but unfortunately the stone dragon lizards, which were only at the 1st level of cultivation, could not escape from Chen Juok's palm at all. The changes in the armor stone beetle experiment are as follows. After extracting the main bloodline, the armored stone worm's cultivation level is the 3rd level. After 30 injections of armored stone beetle blood, his cultivation returned to the 4th level. After 50 injections, it seemed to have reached its peak. The blood of the 4th order stone beetle was extremely pure, and it seemed to have reached 100%. After 100 injections, the stone beetle changed. Its body, which was only about 1 meter long, began to expand. After 150 injections, the stone beetle broke through, its size increased to more than 4 meters, and its bloodline broke through, becoming a 5th level. After 196 injections, the bloodline became extremely pure, but it did not break through to the 6th level. Subsequent experiments to be determined. The second one is the golden stone pangolin. 18 injections, the cultivation level returns to the 4th level. After 42 injections, the bloodline is suspected to be 100% pure. 74 injections, the body begins to change. After 90 injections, the transformation was complete. The body size did not change much, but the light golden scales on the back turned dark golden, and the defense was greatly enhanced. After 120 injections, the bloodline broke through the upper limit and reached the 5th level. 145 injections, the blood is suspected to be 100% pure. 170 injections, the appearance changes again. After 194 injections, the transformation was complete. Patterns appeared on the dark golden scales, and the defense was enhanced again. 196 injections, bloodline for breakthrough. Subsequent experiments to be determined. Looking at the golden stone pangolin in front of him, Chen Zhuge felt that it could break its limit again, but the stone dragon lizards he had were not enough, so it seemed he had to buy some more. Next is the black stone snake. It is the only one that has reached the 4th level of cultivation after its main bloodline was extracted. Black stone serpent. 88 injections, bloodline breaks through the 5th level, appearance remains unchanged. 108 injections, increased size. After 160 injections, the transformation was complete. The 5-meter-long body suddenly expanded to about 30 meters, and the cultivation and bloodline broke through to the 5th level at the same time. 190 injections, the blood is suspected to be 100% pure. 196 injections, no change. Looking at the black stone snake in front of him that was ready to resist him, Chen Zhuge just frowned, activated the spirit beast ring to punish it, and did not take any other action. The experimental results of the black stone snake seem to be surprisingly good, so it should be ranked first under the stone dragon lizard. The last one is the stone dragon lizard. After extracting the other 4 bloodlines, the stone dragon lizard actually did not change much in appearance, except that the light golden eye circles turned grayish-white. It is indeed one of the most stable bloodlines of spiritual beasts. Amid the screams of the stone dragon lizard cubs, after absorbing the power of the same bloodline 196 times, this 4th level stone dragon lizard did not change at all. Chen Zhuge was stunned. "No, man, are you so stable? It's hard for me to handle you like this." Chen Zhuge was in a dilemma. Even if he used all the spirit stones in his hand to buy stone dragon lizard cubs, he could only increase the number by 500 or 600. Considering its stability, it might be of no use at all. That's right. Chen Zhuge thought of a good idea. Since I can't afford it, I'll just be self-sufficient. This stone dragon lizard is a male anyway, so I can buy more female stone dragon lizards and have more of them. Anyway, I just need their blood, that's all. After a trip to the Beast King Pavilion and buying 20 female stone dragon lizards, Chen Zhuge planned to release the spirit beasts in the small secret realm. However, before that, he had to use the enlightenment pill to slightly improve their intelligence so that they would not mess around in the spirit beast garden. In the few days before that, we can only place these experimental subjects in this magic circle. As for the remaining experimental materials, the grey stone rats, Chen Zhuge opened the magic circle and released them. After all, the feces of the grey stone rats were also good fertilizers, and they reproduced quickly, which was just right to provide an extra dish for future carnivorous spirit beasts. Chen Zhuge wrote the experimental results on a jade slip using the language of his previous life and kept it carefully. "Junior brother Chen, I have a mission here and need someone to help. It can offset the share of 2 10-year missions. Are you interested?" Chen Zhuge was surprised by the content of the message from senior brother Lin En. As an inner sect disciple, you must complete 1 garrison mission or 3 escort missions every 10 years. What can offset 2 escort missions? Chen Zhuge was a little hesitant. A mission that could offset the share of 2 10-year missions was definitely more difficult than an escort mission. There was certainly danger, but it was definitely not as great as the other missions. After all, the most dangerous was a garrison mission, and the probability of death was not high. Inner disciples were more likely to encounter accidents during their travels. After thinking it over carefully, Chen Zhuge still wanted to know more. This stone dragon lizard experiment was only halfway completed, and what he lacked most now was time. Completing this task could buy him 10 years, which was still very attractive. Senior brother Lin, can I know what the mission is? Chen Zhuge asked in a message. How about this, I'll come to your place tomorrow and tell you about it in general. We haven't seen each other for a long time. The thunder deer you sold me last time was really good. Lin En replied. After replying with an okay, Chen Zhuge put away the communication stone. He didn't know what the mission that senior brother Lin En was talking about was. And yet Chenjai was also introduced by senior brother Lin En, so it seemed that he had to prepare well to entertain senior brother Lin En. Chapter 35, Large-Scale Mission Out of the Domain. Early the next morning, Chen Zhuge went to the fairy city at the foot of Baiko Peak and bought a lot of spiritual materials and seasonings. His previous stock was running low, so he wanted to replenish it in order to entertain senior brother Lin En. A sturdy red flame sheep was roasted until golden brown, and seasonings made from spiritual materials were sprinkled on it, with a rich aroma filling the air. The spiritual fish caught from the spiritual beast garden are boiled into a snow-white fish soup that whets people's appetite. How can there be food without wine? The Baizhuo wine from Baizhuo Fairy City and the Xian Renzui that has been buried deep underground for 50 years, one is cold, the other is hot, there is always the one you like. If you really can't choose, a combination of ice and fire is also possible. However, a small accident happened when taking the wine, because the immortal drunk was missing. Only Yu Meng could do such an unreliable thing. After experiencing a severe punishment, the crying Yu Meng honestly confessed his accomplice Zhang Ji and the remaining immortal drunk. Ha 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 ha, junior brother, senior brother is here. The voice arrived before the person arrived. After not seeing each other for a few months, Lin En still looked lazy, but at least he was much better than the first time they met. The black tights made him look more like a heroic warrior. Junior brother, we meet again. Lin Ju popped up from behind Lin En and said unceremoniously. Senior brother Lin Ju? Chen Zhuge asked curiously. After comparing their looks, and remembering that they both had the surname Lin, he suddenly realized, two senior brothers, are you from the same clan? Boy, I didn't expect that you would be with my cousin on the last mission. I should have asked him to take care of you. Lin En said, hooking his arm around Lin Ju's neck. Cousin, junior brother Chen doesn't need my care. His luck is much better than mine. Lin Ju couldn't help but think of Chen Zhuge, who is known as the Fish King, and said jealously. Okay, look at your expression. I've told you to practice hard, but you either go out to flirt with some saint or go to gamble. It's so shameful that you haven't returned to the void yet. Lin En said with disgust. Two senior brothers, please come in first. I have prepared everything here. Let's talk while eating. Chen Zhuge interrupted the conversation between the two brothers. I can already smell the strong aroma of wine, white wine, immortal drunkenness, my junior brother is so generous. Lin Ju said impatiently. Dinner table. A bite of roast lamb, a sip of fish soup, and then a sip of old wine, it really feels like heaven. After tasting a few bites, Lin En took the opportunity to say, Junior brother, I can't reveal too much about this mission. I can only give you a general idea. You can decide whether you want to join us after listening to it. Brother, you speak. Since it was related to the mission, Chen Zhuge was all ears. First of all, this mission can equal the workload of 2 10-year missions. This means that after completing this mission, you won't need to go on any missions for the next 20 years. Secondly, the location of this mission is far away, not in the 10,000 beasts territory, so there is no danger, and there are no requirements for what kind of cultivation you will undergo. Finally, this is a large-scale mission, which means there will be a lot of people involved. The mission will also take a long time, probably a few years. The specific time will depend on the progress of the mission. Oh, right, this can also be said to be a garrison mission, but this garrison mission is a little different. It's a bit like a pioneering mission, but not so dangerous. It's up to you, brother, to choose. The content of the mission is limited by the sect, so I can't say much. Lin En pondered for a while and gave a vague explanation. Chen Zhuge fell into deep thought. There was actually not much difference between saying this and not saying it. He just knew that this task would take a few years. It would be a little dangerous, but not too much. It would take 20 years to complete. Cousin, let's have a couple of drinks first and let me think about it. Lin Ju raised his glass and said to Lin En, and winked at Chen Zhuge. Soon after, Chen Zhuge gave the answer, "Go." Lin En and Lin Ju were both going, and he hadn't offended them, and they even had a pretty good relationship, so they wouldn't try to cheat him. After receiving the reply, Lin En smiled and nodded, saying, "The mission will take a few days. I will register you in our team tomorrow and will send you the specific content of the mission when the time comes." Before leaving, Lin Ju turned around and said, "Trust me, junior brother. You won't be disappointed with this mission." The next afternoon Chen Zhuge looked at the task content sent by Lin En, and said with a smile, "It's really a good task. There is actually a large wild area between each domain. These areas are ownerless and belong to whoever opens them up. In fact, they are ownerless, but in fact most of them are given to the nearest powerful force by default. Unfortunately, the Wanshao sect has almost completed the development of the territory near itself. Not long ago, the sect master's eldest disciple, who is also the eldest senior brother of the Wanshao sect, by chance, developed the area of the Sangguang realm, which is assumed to be next to the Wanshao realm. How could they spit out the meat that was already in their mouths? Anyway, the 10,000 Beast sect would not spit it out. The Three Lights domain was also different from the 10,000 Beasts domain. The overlord of the 10,000 Beasts domain was the 10,000 Beast sect, and they were the kind that had their say, while the Three Lights domain had two powerful sects that each occupied half of the territory, and their strength was far inferior to that of the 10,000 Beast sect. They naturally accepted this loss, but they still won the right to operate the territory for themselves. This newly developed fairy city was named the Black Kirin Fairy City, named after the eldest senior brother's natal spirit beast, the Black Kirin. It was jointly developed by the Baihai Fairy sect and the Wanshao men of the Sangguang domain. Later, 60% of the income went to the Wanshao men, and 40% went to the Baihai Fairy sect. All affairs in the city were under their charge, and the Wanshao men only needed to send disciples to supervise. As for what Chen Zhuge and others were going to do there, of course, it was to build it. The newly developed fairy city was completely blank, and there were so many resources to earn. "Thank you, senior brother Lin En, and senior brother Lin Ju. This is a wonderful mission." Chen Zhuge was very satisfied with this mission. It just so happened that he did not have enough resources, and now this opportunity came to him. Could it be that he was also the son of destiny? However, although it is said that the eldest senior brother completed the development alone, it is still dangerous for a young cultivator like me, so I still have to prepare well. Chen Zhuge pondered. As for magic tools, since Chen Zhuge was also practicing as a physical cultivator, the demand was not great. As for elixirs and the like, he basically didn't use any when he went out last time, so he would just need to prepare a little more. Spirit beasts and the like would be no problem, but he had to bring Yu Meng along this time, and He Yin would stay behind to look after the spirit beasts. After getting ready to go out and arranging some chores in the spirit beast garden, the mission time is almost up. The Sex Mission Hall. A large number of cultivators have gathered on the huge white jade square. They are all disciples of the Wanshao sect who are participating in this mission, but they are not from the same peak. After Lin En's reminder, Chen Zhuge also found Lin En's team. In fact, this was also the Baikou Peak's team. There were 6 people in total, and Lin En was the team leader. In addition to Lin Ju, Zhen Yan, and Chen Zhuge, there are 2 others, a man and a woman. The man is Zhen Dan, the younger brother of senior sister Zhen Yan, and the woman is Lin Yunyu, the niece of senior brother Lin En. They both have the same nascent soul cultivation level as Chen Zhuge, but they entered the sect a few years earlier than Chen Zhuge. Now that everyone is here, don't wander around. This mission requires us to take the sect's flying boat, so you don't need to travel on your own. Lin En warned. I tried my best, it's too difficult to write. Chapter 36, Flying Boat and Mission. After Lin En's warning, Chen Zhuge naturally lost the desire to move around. Instead, he took this opportunity to keep an eye on the inner disciples from other peaks. The core of Wanshao men is Beast and Wan. Beast represents controlling and raising beasts, which needs no further explanation. Wan represents wide. After the ancestors of Wanshao men created a method that could utilize one's natal spirit beast to build a solid foundation and accelerate cultivation, basically every disciple of Wanshao men would practice another skill, just like the body cultivator chosen by Chen Zhuge. As for the beast masters, all the disciples of the 10,000 Beasts sect have their own natal spirit beasts, but generally speaking, the natal spirit beasts will be those that can produce resources for cultivation, or those that are in line with the path of dual cultivation. As for ordinary beastmasters, it depends on the individual's ideas as to whether or not they want to go in depth. These are all personal choices. Next to Baiko Peak is the team from Juxuan Peak. Compared to Baiko Peak, the team from Juxuan Peak is much larger, with nearly 30 people. However, most of them are in the nascent soul stage, and there are probably less than 10 people above the nascent soul stage. The leading twins are most likely in the return to void stage like senior brother Lin En. I don't know if it's because the intersect is too big, but senior brother Lin En doesn't seem to know the leading twins, and neither side has any intention of getting to know each other. Just as I finished looking at the Juxuan Peak team, a loud noise was heard in the air. The sky in the Wanshao Gate is always shrouded in clouds and mist. It is said that the Mirage Dragon being tested lives in the clouds and mist, and the Mirage Dragon likes an environment filled with clouds and mist the most. A huge flying boat? No, it should not be considered a flying boat, it should be a warship. In the front is a gun barrel with an absurdly large caliber. This is a super magic weapon specially developed by Sozaku Peak. All beings are equal under the immortals. There was a row of people standing on the turret, led by a burly old man. Behind him stood a ferocious beast named Kyanki that exuded a murderous aura. The young men and female cultivators on both sides did not look very old. At this time, Lin En suddenly said, "The leader is the 9th elder of Sozaku Peak, who has the cultivation level of a celestial being. It is said that he has survived a celestial being's lifespan tribulation and successfully extended his lifespan by 1 epoch. His combat power is extremely strong. The disciples on both sides should be the elite disciples of Sozaku Peak. Each of them has the cultivation level of a Mahayana, and is the best below the true immortal. It seems that the resources of the immortal city that senior brother has opened up this time are very rich, otherwise he wouldn't have deployed such a large formation. Even the ace flying boat Fenchen from Sozaku Peak is here." When senior brother Lin En finished his sigh, the burning heaven flying boat also successfully floated above the square. The old man's deep voice came from the flying boat, "Disciple, get on the flying boat. You have 1/4 of an hour. No one will be waiting after you are late." Whoosh whoosh. The fellow disciples in the square quickly activated their magic power and boarded the flying boat. Lin En and his group were no exception. As soon as he boarded the flying boat, Chen Zhuge looked at its plain decoration and was stunned for a moment. Aren't people in the cultivation world more gorgeous than each other? This flying boat was so plain, it was really strange. "Which peak are you from?" A female cultivator dressed in bright red robes asked Lin En, who was leading the group. The female cultivator didn't look very stunning, but she was quite heroic. Lin En respectfully handed over the badge and said, "From Baiko Peak." "Well, your room is over there, go there by yourself." The female cultivator pointed in a direction and turned to ask the next team. On the way to the room, Lin En said with some concern, "This battle is a bit big. I'm afraid it's more dangerous than I thought. Go to the room first to tidy up, and then come to my place to gather and discuss it." After saying that, Lin En looked at him apologetically, and Chen Zhuge gave him a reassuring look in return. 2/4 of an hour later, in Lin En's room looking at the 5 people below, Lin En said, "I'm afraid this mission is not as simple as it sounds. Lin Ju and Zhen Yan are both at the spiritualization stage, so I'm not too worried. But the 3 of you have just entered the nascent soul stage not long ago, so you might be in danger. Remember not to do anything dangerous when you get to the mission location. Junior brother Chen, you are not bad at cultivating spirit beasts, so try to choose a mission to cultivate spirit beasts. Xiao Yuer, you are a 4th level spirit planter, so you should also choose a mission to plant spirit medicines. Zhen Yan, what are your brother's specialties?" Zhen Yan said seriously, with an embarrassed look on her face, "My brother is a beast master, but his ability in training spirit beasts is average, and he also practices swordsmanship. Then follow us, and we'll just keep an eye on it when the time comes." Lin En said. "Thank you, senior brother Linear." Zhen Yan said gratefully. While the few people were discussing, Lin En was planning to disband everyone, but he received a message from the sect. Lin En frowned and said solemnly, "Everyone, the sect mission has just been updated. In the Mo Kailan Immortal City, our destination this time, there is a large vein of fire essence. Its purity is extremely high and it contains a large amount of heavenly fire marrow. I won't tell you the value of the heavenly fire marrow, you all know it. The sect's tasks are divided into 2 parts. The first is to help the shops belonging to the Wanshao sect in the Immortal City to cultivate spiritual beasts, plant spiritual medicines and other construction tasks. The second is to mine the marrow of heavenly fire. The companion spiritual beast of the marrow of heavenly fire, the fire elf, has at least the cultivation level of nascent soul. So, junior brother Gendan, you have to come with us and we will help you find a construction task. Lin En roughly described the task and said to Gendan seriously. Gendan, who looked pure and innocent, said firmly, Brother Lin, I will go with you. Lin En stared at it for a while, then nodded and said, if you have the courage and determination, then come with us. If the pressure there is too great to bear, you can tell me. Finally, regarding the construction tasks, they have now appeared in the flying boat hall. Junior brother Chen and Xiao Yuer can go and see if there are any good tasks. We also need to take on the task of mining the marrow of the skyfire first. After Lin En finished speaking, he took everyone to the flying boat hall. In the hall, the disciples with low cultivation levels gathered around the desk on the right, while the disciples with high cultivation levels simply registered on the left and left. Looking at the bustling crowd of monks, Chen Zhuge knew that he and his companions were still late. By the time it was his turn in the queue, there might not be any good tasks. An hour later, it was finally Chen Zhuge and Xiao Yuer's turn. The person in charge of registration happened to be the disciple from Suzaku Peak who had just greeted him and the others. His originally heroic face was full of impatience. He glanced at Chen Zhuge and said, what type of mission do you want to choose? Cultivate spiritual beasts. Chen Zhuge said truthfully. Choose for yourself. Make your choice within an incense stick of time. The female cultivator said bluntly. Chen Zhuge caught the task list thrown to him and took a careful look at it. Wow, this task is still bad. The merit points are ridiculously few. The only few extra ones are extremely troublesome and are not even something that Chen Zhuge can solve with his level of cultivation. Turning the pages one by one, Chen Zhuge's eyes suddenly lit up. This task seemed to be very promising. If you cultivate a fire elf cub, you will get 100 merits if the bloodline reaches the 4th level, 800 merits if it reaches the 5th level, 3000 merits if it reaches the 6th level, and 50,000 merits if it reaches the 7th level. I choose this. Chapter 37, Black Kylan and Immortal City. Elves are companion spirit beasts and also a kind of special spirit beasts. For example, the plant elf that Chen Zhuge asked his mother for before is one of them. There is no obvious upper limit to the bloodline of elves. As long as you are willing to invest resources, elf beasts can successfully reach the 7th level. Of course, the resources consumed will be very large, and without a certain foundation, you naturally cannot cultivate elf beasts. However, because of this, it is much more difficult for the bloodline of elven beasts to reach the immortal level than that of other beasts. The reason why Chen Zhuge accepted this task was mainly because unlike the plant elves, the blood of the fire elves was not particularly pure, especially the 5 elements elves, which must be mixed with a trace of other blood. Chen Zhuge did not understand the specific reason, as this secret was not something that the nascent soul could know. Of course, the specialness of the elf beasts is more than this. The golden finger cannot extract the main bloodline of the elves. Chen Zhuge has already tested this. Otherwise, Chen Zhuge would have cultivated the 5 elements elves with 7th level bloodline and become rich. However, the mission this time is relatively more dangerous, which is not senior brother Lin En's fault. After all, senior brother Lin En has said it before. In addition, Baiko Peak is an inner gate mountain that mainly grows spiritual medicines. The strongest cultivators there are basically those spiritual plant masters. It is well known that spiritual plant masters are all otakus who don't like to go out. Naturally, senior brother Lin En couldn't find out much information. The burning sky flying boat on Vermilion Bird Peak is infinitely faster than the Tongtian Kun, which is just going for a picnic. The magic formation covering the entire flying boat is also partly to prevent the disciples on the boat from being scratched by the strong wind, which shows how exaggerated its speed is. Even with such an exaggerated speed, it took nearly a month to reach the Mo Kylan Immortal City. During this period, the 9th Elder performed multiple cross-void teleportations. However, with such a large flying boat without the assistance of magic arrays, even a celestial being would find it a bit difficult to handle. After all, the gap between the space in heaven and the fragile space barriers of the small world is too big. Is this the Black Kirin Fairy City? Chen Zhuge sighed as he looked at the magnificent city wall. Even though the distance was not very close at the moment, it was still clearly visible. The name of the Black Kirin Fairy City was not chosen randomly. As the eldest disciple of the sect master, the eldest senior brother has already achieved the level of a celestial immortal. It is said that he is only one step away from becoming a golden immortal. The Black Kirin is one of the eldest senior brother's natal spirit beasts, and it is said to have the cultivation level of a celestial immortal. Due to construction reasons, the burning sky flying boat could not dock in the city, so Chen Juk and other disciples could only land outside the city and walk in. After getting closer, Chen Juk looked at the black unicorn. That's right, it's the legendary black unicorn with the cultivation level of a celestial being. Looking at the short and tiny black Kylan not far away, sitting calmly at the city gate, with two outstanding female cultivators beside him peeling fruit for it. Is this the black Kylan? Chen Juk asked Lin En beside him in confusion. This black unicorn doesn't look like a celestial fairy at all, so Lin En is not very sure, he stammered, it should be. At this time, a disciple from Suzaku Peak dressed in bright red robes gave a positive answer, this is the black Kylan of our senior brother, Venerable Mo Yang. Chen Juk glanced at the disciple, who was the disciple from Suzaku Peak who was closest to the ninth elder. He could say for sure that this was Mo Kylan. This guy's identity and status were definitely not low. He might even be the direct disciple of the ninth elder. Seeing his own disciples coming, Mo Kylan, who had been lying leisurely on the chair, suddenly stood up, cleared his throat, and was about to show his majesty in front of the younger generation, but the next moment he saw the ninth elder of Suzaku Peak and became deflated at once. Mo Yang was somewhat speechless and said, why is it you, an old fellow, who is here? Where is Wen Lai from your peak? After saying that, the little body kept reaching out, as if still trying to find Wen Lai. Mo Yang, stop messing around. Wu Daoshan has kept you here for a serious matter. The ninth elder Wu Yang Xingwen frowned. I know, I can handle that little thing by myself. If I could not harm his life, I would have solved it long ago. It just takes a little more time. Daoshan asked you to come here to deal with the group of people from the Bihai zone. I don't know what's going on the other side. It's just the marrow of the sky fire, but a celestial fairy came. What's even more infuriating is that your Zuk Peak actually sent you here, but that old guy Wen Lai didn't come. Mo Yang said with some dissatisfaction. Wu Yang Xingwen was too lazy to pay attention to this irrational Mo Kylan, and left with a few disciples from Suzaku Peak. Seeing Wu Yang Xingwen walking away, Mo Yang started to show off again and looked at his new junior. With a leap of his short legs, he came to the table where the fruit plate was placed, looked down at Chen Juk and the others and said, little guy? Do you know who I am? That's right. I am your most adorable venerable Mo Yang. Now I will select 2 lucky ones from among you to be my servants. As he spoke, Mo Yang turned his gaze to the most beautiful female cultivator among the group of disciples. When everyone heard what the immortal boss said, they were also very excited, and they almost wrote choose me on their faces. Unfortunately, before Mo Yang could make a choice, a huge fire palm condensed from flames appeared inside the city gate and dragged Mo Yang in. Wu Yang Xingwen, you old man, let me go. You actually treated the most adorable Lord Mo Yang like this. You are finished. Ah, my butt is on fire. Be gentle. As Mo Yang's shouting faded away, the noble image of the fairy in everyone's mind also collapsed. Chen Juk was stunned and said, is this the eldest brother's natal spirit beast? I always feel that, it feels a little too lively. Haha, I think so too. Lin En agreed with a dry laugh. At this time, the 2 maids who were originally serving Mo Yang came forward and said, everyone, you should have completed your tasks in the flying boat. Come over and register now. I will have someone take you to the mission location. The line was very long, but there were many people in Xiancheng, so it was still fast. It was Chen Juk's turn in less than half an hour. Fire elf cultivation. The maid asked in surprise. There are 2 types of fire elf cultivation. One is to purify the fire elf's bloodline. I see that you have taken this one, but your cultivation is a bit lacking. I suggest you complete the fire elf raising task. That one is safer and the merit points are not bad. If the fire elf you raise has an increased bloodline upper limit, there will be rewards and the same merits as the cultivation. The maid suggested. I don't think I've seen it on the task list. Chen Juk asked. The fairy city has just been established, and there are many tasks. The task list only contains a small part of them, so which one do you choose? Asked the maid. Chen Juk thought about it and decided to raise fire elves. Since he would also gain merits by enhancing the upper limit of his bloodline, just like purifying it, then taking on the task of raising fire elves would bring him more merits. It just so happened that his golden finger was most suitable for large-scale groups of spirit beasts. Chapter 38. Fire Elf. After choosing the task, a girl who only had chi training skills came to lead Chen Zhuge. Every newly developed fairy city is an infinite treasure. The undeveloped virgin land is an opportunity for independent cultivators or mortals to make a breakthrough. The girl who led the way came from the mortal world. She came here after receiving a migration order from her dynasty. Although the Mok Island fairy city was newly developed, it had been several decades old, and the girl was a native of this fairy city. The place responsible for raising fire elves is not remote, but is located in the most prosperous street in the fairy city. It's just that the location of the street is a little bit off, at the end of the street. Looking at the plaque with the words Fire Elves Exclusive Spirit Beast Hall inscribed on it, Chen Zhuge suddenly felt that the style was a bit low. There was only one servant in the shop, lying on the counter, teasing a fire elf who was practicing Qigong out of boredom. Chen Zhuge couldn't help laughing at the clumsy appearance of the fire elf. The servant heard the laughter, looked up, and asked in surprise, "Sister Xiaoko, why are you here? Who is this?" "Brother Dolly, this immortal has come to your place to complete a mission. He may need confirmation from the shopkeeper," Xiaoko said shyly. Oh, I get it. Please wait a moment, immortal." Dolly ran towards the backyard, leaving the fire elf with a silly face looking at Chen Zhuge and the others at a loss. Not long after, Dolly came back with an old man who looked like a sage. Stroking his long white beard, the old man asked, "Nascent soul cultivation? Which peak are you from?" "Senior brother, you're from Biko Peak." The old man's cultivation was not very high, he should be in the late nascent soul stage. "Biko Peak, okay, I thought we would have a junior brother who is good at taming beasts." The old man was a little disappointed, but still very enthusiastic about Chen Zhuge. That night, the old man talked to Chen Zhuge for a long time and handed over the task to him. The old man's name was Fang Ji. He was not born into a wealthy family, but came from a mortal dynasty. Due to some coincidences, he joined the 10,000 Beasts sect. However, due to the lack of support from his family and his average aptitude, he failed in his breakthrough to the God transformation realm. He was able to save his life due to an opportunity in his early years, but he had no chance to move up in the promotion process. After hearing the news about the development of the Mok Island Fairy City, he seized the opportunity to come here. Since he was one of the first people to come here with the eldest senior brother, and he was also a disciple of the 10,000 Beasts sect, he was also allocated a lot of resources, among which the fire elves were the most precious. Fang Ji brought Chen Zhuge to the backyard, and immediately took out a token and said, "The fire elves have a very violent temper, so I spent a lot of money to buy a small secret realm, and all the fire elves are raised here." Within the secret realm, Chen Zhuge looked at the vast secret realm and estimated that the number of fire elves was more than 10,000. This number was not something a helpless nascent soul disciple could take over. Seeing Chen Zhuge's suspicious look, Fang Ji smiled bitterly and said, "Junior brother, you don't think all these are mine, right? Even this small secret realm with its own magma environment cannot be bought with my wealth. The fire spirits here belong to the sect. Otherwise, I can't afford your sect merits, junior brother. The sect's fire elves are handed over to me for sale. I can get 1% of the profit from selling them here. I am only responsible for raising them. The sect will also come here regularly to collect the fire elves. However, because this is the first batch of fire elves, the sect will send junior brothers to come and see if the potential of these fire elves can be improved." Chen Zhuge thought it made sense and nodded, "In that case, I will live in the secret realm. I also have to see if I can use secret methods to improve the bloodline of the fire elves. I don't have much time for my mission, so I won't waste too much time." "Okay, then if you have any needs, just message me directly and I will do my best to arrange it." Fang Ji took out a communication stone and agreed. After Fang Ji left, Chen Zhuge first cast several layers of cooling spells on himself, and then walked towards the place where the fire elves gathered. With an orange-yellow flaming body, a huge red single eye, and short limbs, it looks like a baby with a heavy head and underdeveloped limbs, of course, if you ignore the flames coming out of its mouth. He casually picked up a Jindan-level fire spirit and watched it struggle violently in his hand. Its small mouth kept swallowing large amounts of red spiritual fire. Chen Zhuge smiled and flicked his head, saying, "Be quiet." Although the fire elf is a spirit body, it can still cause a head blast if it wraps its fingers with spiritual power. The fire elf, feeling the pain, became even more irritable. Chen Zhuge didn't care about it. It was just a golden elixir. Let me see the bloodline of this fire elf first. The main bloodline is the fire elf, and the mixed bloodline is actually the fire unicorn. Could it be that this heavenly fire marrow vein was caused by the fall of the fire kiran, and was not formed naturally by the gathering of a large amount of fire essence? What a terrible discovery! No wonder senior brother placed the black kiran here. Chen Zhuge said in shock. But what does this have to do with little Karami like me? The fire Kylan, the real fire Kylan bloodline. I am really rich this time. Chen Zhuge said excitedly. The fire Kylan is a true divine beast, a fairy beast, and an auspicious beast. Even the eldest brother's black Kylan is not as high in status as the 5 elements Kylan in the Kylan lineage. If he could gather the bloodline of a fire Kylan, even if it is a little thinner, it would be fine. The content of fire kiran in a fire elf is ridiculously low. How to say it? Generally speaking, the content of mixed blood types is usually 1,000th or 1/10,000th. If it is lower, it cannot be measured by magic tools. Just like Chen Zhuge uses the golden finger to check the blood of spirit beasts, he can only detect a content of no less than 1/1,000,000th. The fire kiran bloodline in this fire spirit is only 1 in a million. If the concentration is any lower, Chen Zhuge will not be able to detect it. Although he really wanted to extract the fire kiran bloodline from the fire spirit immediately, this would definitely be discovered, so Chen Zhuge planned slowly. Next day Fang Ji brought the fire spirit's food, the fire essence. As a fire elf, it is natural for it to consume fire-attributed treasures from heaven and earth. The Mo Kylan Fairy City happens to have a vein of fire essence with exaggerated reserves. The price of this fire essence can be said to be very low, and it is best to use it to feed the fire elves. The fire elves here have low cultivation levels, most of them are at the 2nd or 3rd level, there are very few 4th level fire elves, and there are also some 1st level fire elves that were born not long ago. Unlike ordinary spirit beasts, fire elves do not need to mate to reproduce. 2 fire elves who are in love will use their own power to give birth to their children together. Generally speaking, fire elves believe in platonic love. During the feeding period, Chen Zhuge also carefully counted the number of fire elves here. There were a total of 35,423 fire elves. If he extracted all of them, he could get 3% of the fire kiran bloodline. In addition, the fire elves actually reproduced very quickly. As long as the environment was right and there was enough food, they would give birth to a baby to play with whenever they were happy. The fire kiran bloodline, which is only 1 part per million, cannot be detected by magic weapons, so Chen Zhuge could not resist the temptation of the fire kiran bloodline and began to extract the fire kiran bloodline from the fire spirit. As for being discovered, sorry, I won't pretend anymore. I'm going to show my cards. I'm the master of animal training. How did I do it? Sorry, I won't tell you the secret. Chapter 39, Rumors of the Fire Kiran. Just as Chen Zhuge's eyes were shining as he extracted the fire kiran's bloodline in the secret realm, the independent cultivators from the outside world were in an uproar. At the location of the heavenly fire marrow beneath the fire essence vein, a fire elf that looked like a fire kiran appeared. This 7th level fire elf was captured by Ouyang Xingguan, the elder of Suzaku Peak. Later, after discovering that it had the powerful fire kiran bloodline, his disciple and clansman Ouyang Sihai contracted it. The final development of the matter is not important to the casual cultivators who come to the immortal city hoping to make a breakthrough. What is important is that the formation of this fire essence vein is most likely caused by the fall of a fire unicorn that is at least a celestial immortal. Well, since this vein can produce a fire elf with the powerful fire Kylan bloodline, it is not impossible for a second one to appear. With the spread of independent cultivators, nearby forces with some strength have begun to gather towards the newly developed Black Kylan Fairy City. At this time, in the city lord's mansion, Ouyang Xingguan looked at the small and dangling Mo Yang opposite him with a gloomy face, and said dissatisfiedly, Daoshan didn't ask you to tell me such an important thing. Mo Yang said nonchalantly, it's just a fire Kylan of a celestial being that fell to the ground. Even if these fire spirits have the blood of the fire Kylan, so what? It's impossible to give birth to a little Kylan after so many years of death. Mo Yang seemed to have thought of something funny and laughed. That kind of divine beast has this ability. Ouyang Xingguan said word by word with a dark face. It's true. Mo Yang was so surprised that his jaw dropped. Then he doubted, "Old man, you are not kidding, I am also a Kylan, and a celestial being. How come I don't know that I have this ability? You are from the lowest branch of the Kylan clan. How is it possible that you know the abilities of the 5 elements Kylan?" Ouyang Xingwen said disdainfully. Before Mo Yang could get angry, Ouyang Xingwen sighed and said, "Sure enough, the Wanshao sect cannot be handed over to Daoshan, that reckless man. He only knows how to fight every day, and even his natal spirit beast looks so unreliable." Mo Yang was furious and said, "Old man, you are looking for death." Ouyang Xingwen didn't want to pay any more attention to this black unicorn who only knew how to brag. "Hi, notify all the disciples of Suzaku Peak to guard the fire essence vein and try not to let independent cultivators get close to the place where the marrow of heavenly fire is. The people of Bai Hai Xian sect should do the same. You can act according to the circumstances. I will notify the sect to send reinforcements." Ouyang Xingwen said to Ouyang Sihai beside him. "Yes, elder." Ouyang Sihai accepted the order respectfully. In fact, Ouyang Xingwen didn't care much about the fire Kirin. After all, it was just a celestial fairy, and there were plenty of them in the 10,000 Beasts sect. But the news spread too quickly. He caught the fire Kirin with his own hands, and not many people saw it at the time. Even if a casual cultivator had a wide circle of friends, it would be impossible for the news to spread so quickly. Ouyang Xingwen stood by the window and looked at the cultivators below, sneering, "Do you think that my Wanshao sect is easy to bully? I want to see which bull god or ghost dares to be the enemy of my Wanshao sect." On the other side, Chen Zhug, who had stayed in the secret realm for a full month and finally extracted all the fire elves in it, came out of the secret realm in tattered clothes. There was no way around it, the fire elves looked too similar, and these spirit beasts were not himself, so he couldn't capture them by force. Moreover, these fire elves always liked to gather together. If more than 30,000 fire elves spit fire together, Chen Zhug himself would definitely turn into ashes. Fang Zhi was not in the backyard, so Chen Zhug washed himself and went to the shop in front. Xia Huo, do you have the bloodline of the fire Kylan? If you do, when can you become a fire Kylan? Dolly looked at the little fire Kylan in front of him excitedly, his eyes full of fantasy. Chen Zhug was shocked when he heard what Dolly said. Could it be that this little guy also had a golden finger? Did he also discover the secret that the fire spirit had the blood of the fire unicorn? With a cautious attitude, Chen Zhug said, "Dolly, what did you just say?" Dolly was startled by Chen Zhug's sudden voice, and patted his chest and said, "Master Chen, you scared me with your sudden appearance." Then Dolly gave a brief account of the major events that had happened in the past month. After listening to this, the corners of Chen Zhug's mouth twitched. Damn it, who was so shameless to spread the news? Now the price of fire elves will definitely increase, and it will be more difficult to collect the bloodline of his fire Kirin. However, are there any fire elves with fire Kylan blood so strong that they can transform into Kylan appearance? But isn't the fire Kylan blood of the fire elves in the secret realm about 1 in a million? The highest is only 3 in a million. Could it be because the fire elves were born in different places? Chen Zhug asked. "Dolly, do you know where we caught the fire spirit?" Dolly scratched his head and said, "Master Chen, I don't know about this." The shopkeeper brought it back personally. Although he didn't get an answer, Chen Zhug still gave Dolly a piece of shangling. In the evening, Fang Zhi returned home exhausted. Looking at Chen Zhug who was in the shop, he asked curiously, "Junior brother, you came out?" "Well, I have used secret methods to cultivate the fire elves in the secret realm, and now I just need to feed them normally," Chen Zhug said. It just so happens that the price of fire elves has skyrocketed due to the rumors about the fire Kylan outside. "Junior brother, I have brought a lot of fire elves here. Can you please help me use my secret method to take a look at them?" Fang Zhi was polite. In order to demonstrate his abilities, Chen Zhug stayed in the secret realm for a few days and used his golden finger to extract several fire elves. The power of the fire elves with pure blood would become a little stronger, which also made Fang Zhi admire Chen Zhug very much. However, this is because the concentration of the fire Kirin bloodline of these fire elves is too low. Otherwise, a high concentration of fire Kirin bloodline can greatly enhance the power of the fire elves' spiritual fire. "Senior brother, where do our fire elves come from?" Chen Zhug asked. "Where did they come from? They were all captured by independent cultivators outside, or by disciples like me from the sect who exchanged them for spirit stones and merits." Fang Zhi said confusedly. I mean, where was it caught, on the fire essence vein or near the heavenly fire marrow underneath the vein? Chen Zhuge asked. This, of course, is the upper layer of the fire essence vein. The marrow of heavenly fire is basically underneath. The fire elves underneath are basically those at the nascent soul stage, the spirit transformation stage, and the return to void stage. There is also the Mahayana Kailan fire elves that Elder Ouyang captured not long ago. Little cultivators like us dare not go down. Fang Zhi answered. Chen Zhuge finally understood that the concentration of the fire Kiran's bloodline should be higher the closer it is to the marrow of heavenly fire. That Kiran fire spirit should be close to the core of the marrow of heavenly fire, so the bloodline concentration is so high and it shows the appearance of a Kiran. However, junior brother, the 10 fire elves you brought back this time were all caught near the marrow of heavenly fire, and each of them has a 4th level cultivation base. Fang Zhi said with some pride. Because of his age and old injuries, although Fang Zhi still has the cultivation base of the late nascent soul stage, his combat power is greatly reduced. If he really goes head to head with a large number of nascent soul stage fire elves, it would be very easy for him to be defeated. So this time, Fang Zhi was really proud that he could get 10 fire elves and escape unscathed. Chapter 40. Middlemen. The 10 fire elves brought by Fang Zhi do contain a high level of fire Kiran bloodline, almost 8 parts per million, which is 8 times that in the secret realm. This discovery also gave Chen Zhuge some ideas. Since senior brother Fang Zhi was also purchasing or personally capturing fire elves, could I contact senior brother Lin En and others and ask them to capture some fire elves and sell them to Fang Zhi while mining the marrow of heavenly fire? Being a middleman yourself is not only safe, but also allows you to collect the bloodline of the fire Kailan. After careful consideration, Chen Zhuge felt that it was feasible. Due to the proliferation of fire elves, the fire elves here would not be recycled with merits. They were all spirit stones and could not be sold to anyone. After all, he was an acquaintance of them, so it would be easier to reach a cooperation. After thinking about this, Chen Zhuge did not contact senior brother Lin En and others directly, but went to find Fang Zhi first. Fang Zhi, who was brewing tea in the shop, saw Chen Zhuge and greeted him enthusiastically, "Junior brother, come and drink tea together. This is the 4th level King's In tea. Although it only has the effect of refreshing the mind, the taste is amazing." Chen Zhuge smiled and sat down, tasted it and said, "Good tea, senior brother has good taste." Fang Zhi laughed happily and said, "Junior brother, thank you for the compliment. Brother, I have a business here. I wonder if you are interested in it." Chen Zhuge said casually while playing with the empty teacup. "Junior brother, tell me about it." After hearing the voice, Fang Zhi seemed to have become a different person, sitting up straight and speaking. "Brother, you know that our group of people came here, in addition to helping speed up the construction of the fairy city, with a more important mission to mine the marrow of the heavenly fire." Chen Zhuge said. Fang Zhi nodded and said, "I know this, but what does this have to do with business? Can you contact those fellow disciples who are mining the marrow of heavenly fire under the fire essence veins?" Fang Zhi was very surprised. Chen Zhuge was only at the nascent soul stage. The fellow disciple who could mine the marrow of the heavenly fire below must be at least at the divine transformation stage. Could it be that his junior brother also had a background? As a cultivator with no hope of promotion, Fang Zhi now puts all his energy into the fire spirit. The method Chen Zhuge mentioned is actually very simple, and Fang Zhi naturally knows it, but the problem is that he is just an ordinary cultivator with no potential, background, or anything. The disciples who came to open up the immortal city are all younger disciples, and Fang Zhi doesn't know them at all, so naturally he gives up the idea. "I have a good relationship with the senior brother who is the leader of Baiko Peak. I should be able to get some fire elves," Chen Zhuge confessed. Okay, to be honest, I have thought of this method, but these new disciples look down on an old man with no connections and no potential. I'll leave this matter to you, brother. Don't worry about the price. I still have some savings, and I will definitely not let your people suffer." Fang Zhi patted his chest and promised. With Fang Zhi's endorsement, Chen Zhuge contacted senior brother Lin En that night. "Junior brother Chen, how come you have time to contact me?" Lin En asked curiously. "Could it be that the mission encountered difficulties?" Lin En asked. "Brother, there is no problem with the mission. I do have a small favor and need your help," Chen Zhuge said. "Brother, you tell me," Lin En said. Brother, the fire spirits have been spreading like wildfire recently, and the mines don't allow independent cultivators to enter. I want to ask you if I can catch some fire spirits and sell them to independent cultivators to make a lot of money. Chen Zhuge said. Junior brother, your idea is good. We are indeed not very busy down there, and it is easy to catch fire elves. But we don't have time to find independent cultivators to sell them to. Lin En said with an idea in his mind. What a coincidence. My current task is to help my senior brother in the sect raise the fire elves. Although this senior brother also manages the fire elves for the sect, he also has the right to sell them independently and has a shop. Chen Zhuge said with a smile. Okay, junior brother, you are ready. Okay, I agree to this. In 7 days, junior brother, come to the Huaxian Tower in the city and we will do the transaction there. Lin En said with a smile. After dealing with senior brother Lin En, all that's left is to wait 7 days for the transaction to take place. But has the Flower Fairy Tower been established so long ago? Didn't the major sects in the heavens say that the Flower Fairy Valley is quite reserved, and that Flower Fairy Towers are generally not opened on their own initiative? It can't be that it was built specifically because of the news about the Fire Kirin. A Fire Kirin, a celestial fairy, shouldn't be so attractive. In the Huaxian building, which was just built 3 days ago, Dai Luohu, whom I had met once before, was now standing respectfully on the top floor of Huaxian Tower, seemingly waiting for someone. Silently, an old lady with silver hair appeared in front of Dai Luohu and said with some dissatisfaction, I need a reason. Why do you want to use up your special privileges to set up your flower fairy building here? It can't be because of a fallen heavenly fairy fire unicorn, right? Dai Luohu bowed respectfully to the old man in front of her and said, Master, this fairy city was opened up by Wu Daoshan, the senior brother of the Wanshao sect. He also left his own life beast here. Do you think Wu Daoshan will come back? You want to win him over, influence the Wanshao sect, and help the Huaxian Valley? The old lady said with a look of disappointment. Have you ever thought that Wu Daoshan has no power to decide the decisions of Wanshao sect? That reckless man would have died countless times if he didn't have strong cultivation and the support of Wanshao sect. He would not have become the next leader of Wanshao sect. The old lady looked at Dai Luohu, who had a look of dissatisfaction on her face, and cursed. Isn't he the eldest senior brother of the Wanshao sect? Dai Luohu panicked. She paid such a huge price, but in the end Wu Daoshan was so shameless. Alas, you are still young, and this is your first time traveling abroad, so it's normal that you don't understand. Just treat this as a lesson. The eldest brother of the 10,000 Beasts sect is just famous. I won't say whether he has brains or not. After all, the heavens also rely on fists. The key is that he is not the strongest among his peers, and it's hard to say whether he can be ranked in the top 10. The core disciples of Wanshao sect are the key. The identity of the sect master's direct disciple is not important. Wu Daoshan has been challenging strong men outside just to hone himself and want to win the identity of the core disciple. The old lady sighed. Looking at Dai Luohu with a dazed face, the old lady didn't say anything. It was just a natal building, not a big deal. She hoped that her little disciple could figure it out, otherwise she would not be able to keep this true disciple. The rumor about the Fire Kirin has been fermenting for quite some time, and a large number of people from small forces have gathered in the Black Kirin Immortal City. Neither the 10,000 Beasts sect nor the Blue Sea Immortal sect would care about these things, until today, when a force that was not weaker than either of them appeared. A huge flying boat appeared above the Immortal City. Except that it did not have the ridiculously large caliber of the Burning Sky flying boat, it was not inferior to the others and even looked a little bigger. Ouyang Xingwen looked at the flying boat with a serious face and said, why would someone from Xing Holy Land come here? It's clearly just a fire Kylan from the heavenly fairyland, and it's fallen. Chapter 41, Holy Land of Galaxy. The visit of the Galaxy Holy Land surprised the Wanshao sect, and the Bihai Xianzone was terrified. The Wanshao sect was already difficult to deal with, and now here comes the Galaxy Holy Land, which is no weaker than the Wanshao sect. Do they have to bully us like this? This is obviously our Bihai Xianzong's place. A figure like a galaxy appeared on the flying boat, exuding infinite momentum. No matter how high or low their cultivation level was, all the cultivators who had not yet become immortals felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them. The warm anger relieved the mountain, and Ouyang Xingwen's domineering voice came from the city lord's mansion, Xing Huai, what's the point of bullying a child? Let me play with you. As soon as the words fell, two strange phenomena appeared in the sky. A scene like the satellite planets revolving around the star sun in the solar system of the previous life. The difference is that in the previous life this was an astronomical phenomenon, but here it is the power of the immortals themselves. Fighting against it was a vermilion bird, the king of all fires, with wings that looked like they were ablaze, feathers that glowed red, and eyes that were like giant rubies, with faint flowing flames visible. The endless stars of the Milky Way and the endless fireworks of the vermilion bird collided and disappeared in the air. Not a single bit of power leaked out to affect the fairy city below. Such terrifying control power made Chen Zhuge's heart even heavier. He was still not steady enough, and the fire Kiran bloodline still aroused his mind. The clash between the two celestial beings was still going on, and the celestial being who was nominally the fairy of the blue sea finally made a move. The blue sea and the sky were connected in a line, and endless blue water poured down from the sky, forcibly intervening between the two. Not long after, the strange phenomenon in the sky disappeared, and people from the Xing Holy Land began to appear in the immortal city. This did not have much impact on cultivators like Chen Zhuge. These disciples from the Xing Holy Land obviously came here for the place where the fire Kiran fell, and it was impossible for them to stay in the city for too long. After seeing the terrifyingly powerful strength of the celestial being, Chen Zhuge decided to make up for the mistake he made because of fire Kiran's extensive use of the golden finger. Of course, it is impossible to put back the collected fire Kiran bloodline. One can only spend more time studying the secret method of the Wanshao sect to cultivate the bloodline of spiritual beasts, bloodline transformation, a secret technique that can improve the bloodline of spiritual beasts. Any disciple of the Wanshao sect can learn it, but it is very difficult. The effect of this secret technique is not very strong, at least before it is evolved into a magical power. Its effect can only be said to be better than nothing. If one wants to practice this secret technique, one must also learn the Beast Sutra, one of the fundamental techniques of the 10,000 Beasts sect. If other people get it, they won't even be able to get started in practice. Chen Zhuge had a good understanding of this secret method. After getting started with the practice, he found that its effect was too low and that he needed to consume a certain amount of natural treasures or use his own essence and blood to enhance the bloodline of the spirit beast. So Chen Zhuge gave up. After all, he had the golden finger, so who would want to learn this thing and waste time? It would be better to spend more time on body training. The secret method of bloodline transformation is, to put it simply, to forcibly use natural treasures of the same attributes or the blood essence of cultivators to forcibly strengthen the bloodline of spiritual beasts, induce them to mutate, devour other meager bloodlines, and strengthen themselves. If you want to practice this secret technique, you must first be very familiar with the bloodline of spiritual beasts, and then practice a lot. To succeed, you must have one of two prerequisites, either Krypton Gold or Krypton Life. 7 days before the transaction, Chen Zhuge bought 2 second-level fire dogs from a stall of casual cultivators in the market town, to practice the secret art of bloodline transformations. After consuming a large amount of fire-attributed spiritual materials and a lot of blood essence, the blood of the 2 fire dogs was finally strengthened. Feeling the barely detectable improvement, Chen Zhuge smiled bitterly and said, "It's really frustrating. There are obviously better options, but I have to spend a lot of resources to learn this useless secret method. However, I am quite talented in this area. If I can evolve it into a magical power, it will not be a loss." "Junior brother, we have arrived at Huaxian Tower, in the private room on the 2nd floor, come quickly." Senior brother Lin En sent the message. Seeing the message, Chen Zhuge didn't delay. He washed his body casually and found Fang Zhi and said, "Brother, the leader of Baiko Peak is here. Do you want to go with me to take a look?" Fang Zhi shook his head and said, "You can take the spirit stones here and buy them at the market price. With my secret method, the quality of these fire spirits can be improved a little bit, and the selling price will be higher." As one of the bases for raising fire elves for the sect, Fang Zhi purchases fire elves and then resells them to the sect. The price will naturally not be too low. This is also one of the benefits that the sect gives to its disciples. After putting away the spirit stones, Chen Zhuge did not check the number of spirit stones. After all, he would be here for the next few years, and senior brother Fang Zhi would not offend him for a few spirit stones. Huaxian Lu. The independent cultivators whose pockets were bulging with money from pioneering during this period of time could finally get to experience such a high-end place, so when Chen Zhuge arrived at Huaxian Tower, it was quite lively. After passing the lobby on the 1st floor, which was filled with smoke and looked like a brothel, I quickly came to the second floor. Fortunately, the environment on the second floor is still good, and we arrived at the private room that senior brother Lin En mentioned. Junior brother, you are finally here. Lin En greeted with a smile. Chen Zhuge took a quick glance and found that Lin En, Lin Ju and Zhen Yan had not changed much, they were still the same as before. However, Zhen Dan had changed very little. The boy who originally looked very quiet, his eyes became sharper and his cultivation became more solid, especially the looming edge. It seemed that he had made a lot of progress in sword cultivation. As expected, there were still many risks in mining the marrow of heavenly fire. As for Lin Yunyu, he did not come. As a spiritual plant technician, especially those responsible for transplanting and seedling cultivation, they are all very busy and need to be looked after at all times to avoid mistakes. Junior brother, we only have one day to rest. Let's deal with the fire spirit transaction you mentioned last time. Lin En said quickly. Chen Zhuge naturally had no problem with this. After all, he wasn't the one providing the spirit stones, so he could just talk. In the end, the deal was completed at the market price, 13 5th level fire elves, worth 39,000 superior spirits, and 54th level fire elves, worth 30,000 superior spirits, for a total of 69,000 superior spirits. I thought the spirit stones given by senior brother Fang Ji were not enough, but unexpectedly, not only were they enough, but there were still quite a few left. He is worthy of being one of the first people to try something new. He is really rich. In fact, what Chen Zhuge didn't know was that this was the pre-sale version of the next batch of fire elves reserved by the sect. Most of the spirit beasts in the spirit beast hall came in this way. They were raised by the disciples below and then bought back at high prices. High-level spirit beasts had to be exchanged for merits, and low-level spirit beasts could be sold at cost price. In this way, they would not lose too much. After the transaction was completed, Lin En and the others were very satisfied. It was very difficult to capture fire elves in an environment full of the marrow of heavenly fire. If Lin En had not reached the level of return to void, it would have been impossible for them to capture so many fire elves at the level of spirit transformation. Chapter 42, Fire Kylan Reincarnation. Junior brother, try this 100 flowers dew. This is not ordinary 100 flowers dew. After the transaction was completed, Lin Ju raised his eyebrows and said. Oh, really? Let me try it. Chen Zhuge was a little unconvinced. He and others had drunk it last time in Bei's Woxiancheng. After tasting it carefully, I found it was indeed different. It contained more spiritual energy and tasted better. How is it? Doesn't it taste better? Lin Ju said proudly. Indeed. Chen Zhuge nodded. Do you know who the owner of this Huaxian tower is? It's Dai Luao whom we saw last time, one of the 7 true disciples of Huaxian Valley. Lin Ju said with an expression of confusion on his face. Chen Zhuge did not say anything, but just looked at senior brother Lin Ju. As Lin Ju was an eccentric man, he naturally could not hold back what was in his mind and started to speak at length. The strength of the Flower Fairy Valley is not that strong. Not to mention compared with forces like our 10,000 Beast sect and the Xing Holy Land, even the Blue Sea Immortal sect is far inferior. There are only a few golden immortals in the sect, and there is no immortal Deluo golden immortal. In addition, the strength has dropped a lot due to the invasion of the demon source 3,000 years ago. Of course this has little to do with Huaxian Lu. Chen Zhuge looked at senior brother Lin Ju with a dark face and said, Senior brother, what's the point? Lin En couldn't listen anymore and said dissatisfiedly, what nonsense are you talking about? Let me tell you. The cultivation in Flower Fairy Valley is different from ours. It emphasizes entering the mortal world. Every disciple who reaches a bottleneck in cultivation needs to open a Flower Fairy Tower to collect the energy of the mortal world in order to break through the realm. In other words, the Flower Fairy Tower is as important to the disciples of Flower Fairy Valley as our natal spirit beasts. Junior brother's cultivation is only limited. When he becomes a spirit, he will carefully explore the opportunity to find that the entire Flower Fairy Tower is a powerful magic weapon, but it is not easy to move it without permission. Because of this feature, the location of the Flower Fairy Tower is also very important. This Flower Fairy Tower belongs to Dai Luao. As a true disciple of the contemporary Flower Fairy Valley, she should have reached the Mahayana realm. As long as she collects enough mortal energy, she can quickly overcome the 3 tribulations of earth fire, dark wind and inner demon. As for the heavenly tribulation, it will not have much impact, but it should be able to increase the chances. However, it is very strange why Dai Luao would set up the Flower Fairy Tower here. Is she here for the fire Kiran? That shouldn't be the case. After all, she is the true disciple of this generation. There is still a chance for her to become a celestial fairy. It's strange. Lin En said that he found it difficult to understand the thoughts of the true disciple of the Flower Fairy Valley. Lin Ju joked, "Tell me, is it possible that this Dai Luao came for senior brother? You know, the first stop of this person's journey was our 10,000 beasts territory. Now he has come to such a desolate place to invest in the Flower Fairy Tower. I think that except for senior brother, no one here can attract a true disciple of the Flower Fairy Valley. It can't be the fire unicorn." Lin En touched his chin, a gossipy gleam in his eyes. Could it be true? But the eldest brother was too cruel. If you spread gossip about him, you will be beaten. It's better not to say anything. Zhen Yan said to Linju in silence, "Brother Linju, although I really don't want to discourage you, what you said is impossible. The eldest brother will never get close to women." Hearing this, Linju also remembered the rumors about the eldest senior brother in the sect. Kill him, charge, kill him. As a reckless man who only likes fighting, it seems unlikely that he likes a woman. The topic ended, and everyone left after eating and drinking. Although mining the marrow of heavenly fire was somewhat dangerous, the merits were still very great. In addition, with the interference of the Holy Land of the Galaxy, the mining progress was now very tight, and Lin En and others had very little time to rest. 1 year later during this year, Fang Ji, who had tasted the sweetness, relied on Chen Zhuge to continue the fire elf trade with Lin En and others, and even expanded the scale a lot, which also allowed Chen Zhuge to get to know many inner disciples from other peaks. By now, the popularity of the fire elves has begun to slowly decline, and the price has begun to return to normal. After all, there has been no more fire elves that resemble the Kylan in the past year. Even those that contain the blood of the fire Kylan have had very unsatisfactory test results. But this has nothing to do with Chen Zhuge. In this year, he has collected 15% of the fire Kiran's blood. This concentration is enough to cultivate a fire Kiran, but the blood is a little weak. However, Chen Zhuge is still trying to see if he can improve it. Relying on the bloodline transformation secret technique that he has achieved through hard practice, Chen Zhuge sells bloodline purification services in Fang Ji's shop. Not only can he earn spirit stones, he can also spread the news that he is proficient in the bloodline transformation secret technique, and he can also secretly collect fire Kiran blood. It is really killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Evening Chen Zhuge saw off the last casual cultivator who came for blood purification. Looking at the blood Kiran bloodline rising a little bit again, Chen Zhuge put away the sign with satisfaction and planned to go to the secret realm to see the growth of this batch of fire elves. A month ago, the sect sent another wave of disciples. A deacon came and took most of the fire elves in Fang Ji's shop back to the sect, and a large amount of spirit stones were pocketed. These days, Fang Ji either went to Huaxian Tower or took his children and grandchildren to buy magic tools, cultivation resources, spirit veins, etc. Chen Zhuge sighed after seeing these actions. Anyone who could enter the Wanshao Gate was a dragon among men. He didn't expect that senior brother Fang Ji would become like this. This reminded Chen Zhuge that the road of cultivation was not always smooth. No matter how talented one was, as long as one did not become a truly top figure, one might die suddenly. It was better to keep a low profile. That night, Chen Zhuge was practicing the giant spirit Dharma in the backyard. Feeling his blood and energy growing stronger again, Chen Zhuge couldn't help but reveal a satisfied look. Although the 3 times the speed of practice consumed more resources, it was worth it to exchange resources for time. At the current speed, it would probably take less than 10 years for him to break through to the middle stage of the 4th level. Yo-yo! The melodious and majestic roar spread throughout the entire Mo Kylan Fairy City. Chen Zhuge shuddered from his training and said in disbelief, "No way, there really is a Kylan." At the bottom of the fire essence vein, at the marrow of heavenly fire, looking at the suddenly appearing red door, the disciples of the 3 sects not far away had no time to react before they were waved back to the ground by the 3 celestial beings who suddenly appeared. Ouyang Xingwen spoke first, "Good fellow, what Yu Xing Holy Land said this time is actually true. It really is the reincarnation of Fire Kylan that has been rebuilt." Xing Huai smiled and said, "Of course, otherwise how could a fallen Fire Kylan be worth my personal involvement?" The elder Baiun from the Bihai Xian zone was in a bad mood and said, "Should we do as we agreed before?" "I have no objection, old man. If we can't get it, then it means that we, the disciples of Wanshao sect, have no chance of getting it. Ouyang Xingwen was not worried. In terms of spiritual beasts, the two sects were far inferior to Wanshao sect. If they still couldn't get this fire Kirin, then there was nothing to say. As for Xinghai, the Xing Holy Land, which had intervened, only got the ticket based on the information, so naturally they would not object. The worst off is the Baihai Xian Zone, because its strength is lower than the other two. Even its own territory has to be competed with other sects, which is really aggrieved. Since there are no problems, let the disciples of each sect get ready. Ouyang Xingwen said firmly. The independent cultivators must also be notified. How can the Kailan be resurrected without being bathed in blood? Xinghai said in a somewhat evil tone. Baiyun glanced at the two of them, and finally said helplessly, "That's it. Dear book friends, please give me a vote, just a recommendation vote." Chapter 43. Secret Realm. The rumor of the Fire Kailan's reincarnation, coupled with the emergence of the Secret Realm, caused all the cultivators to go into a frenzy. That's a Fire Kailan, a reincarnated Fire Kailan. He was a celestial immortal in his previous life. It is very likely that he will become a golden immortal after reincarnation. For a casual cultivator, becoming a true immortal is a luxury, let alone a Fire Kailan who is guaranteed to become a celestial immortal. Even the disciples of the sect were extremely excited. Although there seemed to be a lot of immortal elders, in a large sect like the Wanshao sect, the disciples were counted in the billions. It was hard to say whether there were tens of thousands of people in the sect who could become immortals. Under the deliberate promotion of the three sects' celestial elders, a secret realm appeared in the fire essence vein, and the news that the reincarnation of the celestial Fire Kailan was suspected to exist there became more and more widespread. After a month of fermentation, the city's liveliness had increased several times again, and because of the supervision of the three sects, no independent cultivator could get a glimpse of the specific situation. It was not until half a month later that a huge light gate appeared above the fire essence vein, and the image of a fire Kirin appeared on the light gate. The Fire Kailan, as a legendary auspicious beast, has a majestic body, its body is as hot as fire, and it exudes endless power. The majestic figure and strong limbs demonstrate strength and speed. Its head is shaped like a dragon, and its eyes sparkle as if it can see through everything in the world. Its fur is like a blazing flame, flashing with dazzling light, giving people a glittering feeling. The fire unicorn's tail is like a raging fire, swaying unsteadily, making it even more mysterious and noble. Legend has it that whenever a fire unicorn appears, it is like fire descending upon the world. Wherever it goes, everything seems to be ignited by its power. Its roar is like summer thunder, deafening and powerful. Its footsteps are like thunder across the earth, shocking. Even though it was just a short video, it deeply shocked everyone in the Mo Kailan Fairy City, and they were deeply impressed by its powerful posture. In the attic on the top floor of the city lord's mansion, three celestial beings watched the video together. Baiyun said with a serious expression, "It is not an ordinary Fire Kailan. It must have survived the lifespan tribulation of a celestial being at least once, or even more. He is truly a Fire Kailan who has rebuilt himself in order to break through to the golden immortal realm. I didn't expect that you, the Xing Holy Land, would know this news." Ouyang Xingwen said sarcastically. "In fact, you all know the origin of this Fire Kailan. I also discovered it accidentally in the sect records." Xinghai said with a faint smile. "You should have heard about the war that took place in the Savage Realm a million years ago. Even if you haven't heard about it, there should be records in the sect. No one knows what happened to the Dragon, Phoenix, and Kirin tribes, and a war broke out suddenly. Although no golden immortals died, there were no less than 100 celestial immortals who participated in the war. Among them, the Fire Kirin, who had the most brilliant record in the Kirin tribe, killed no less than 5 celestial immortals. In the end, he was besieged by the celestial immortals of the Dragon and Phoenix tribes, leading to his demise. That Fire Kirin didn't actually die on the battlefield. It was just severely injured by the celestial immortals of the two tribes. It might have been too seriously injured that it had to flee the Savage Realm. With the great power of celestial immortals, no matter how seriously injured they are, as long as they didn't die on the spot, they can recover from the injuries. It's just a matter of time. According to the records in the sect, I have deduced that the lifespan of this Fire Kailan is coming to an end. If it wants to prolong its life, it can only go through the lifespan tribulation of a celestial being again. Unfortunately, it is impossible for it to survive given its severe injuries, so it has chosen to dissolve its weapons and start over. There are too many enemies in the savage realm, so we can only choose to go to the human race's territory. Among the human race's territories, the overall strength of the Three Lights territory is relatively weak, but it is not the worst either, which is just right for it to rebuild. After hearing Xing Huai's inference, Baiyun felt offended, but this was a hurtful reality. Forget it, just destroy it. A fire kirin that had the potential to become a golden immortal was lost in her hands, which was really infuriating. Humph, it all depends on your ability. It's still uncertain who will get it. Ouyang Xingguan said disdainfully. The secret realm is limited to those below the level of God transformation. Everyone, please explore the secret realm. Baiyun heard this and said impatiently. It was not certain who could get it. The powerful celestial being filled the entire sky. The bright stars, the blazing flames, and the surging blue waves all rushed to the entrance of the secret realm. The secret realm that had not been opened before was directly opened. The three celestial beings said in unison, the secret realm has been opened. All disciples who have reached the state of spiritual transformation, please enter the secret realm. Suddenly, Chen Zhuge, who was watching the excitement at the door of the store, changed his place and looked at the fiery red ground. Chen Zhuge was speechless. No, I don't want this fire kirin. Now that things have come to this, I can only explore this secret realm and find a safe place to survive until the end. It's just a fire kirin, and I can get it if I work hard for a few more years. Pfft! A red flame surged towards Chen Zhuge from behind. He extinguished it with a flick of his hand. Chen Zhuge looked at the flaming red elk behind him, reached out to grab it, took a quick glance, and said in surprise, "Hey, Fire Kirin bloodline. By the way, this is the place where the Fire Kirin was reborn and reborn. 80% of the spirit beasts here have been invaded by the Fire Kirin's bloodline and turned into fire spirit beasts. It looks like my Fire Kirin is coming." Chen Zhuge said with a smile. Opening the spirit beast bag, Chen Zhuge released Zhang Ji, Yu Meng and the 4 spirit beasts he had contracted. He said, "Go investigate the situation nearby. If you find any spirit beasts, capture them all." The 4 contracted spirit beasts could not speak yet, they just nodded and dispersed according to Chen Zhuge's instructions. Zhang Ji stretched out his hand towards Chen Zhuge, but remained motionless. Chen Zhuge had no choice but to take out a pot of immortal drunk and said, "Work hard, don't just think about drinking." Zhang Ji laughed disdainfully and disappeared from Chen Zhuge's sight with a jump. Then Chen Zhuge looked at Yu Meng who looked unhappy and said, "You'd better not go out. Come with me and find some rare spiritual medicines." I originally planned to let Yu Meng go out as well, but I thought about it and gave up. As a spiritual beast of an auxiliary nature, or a natal spiritual beast, it would be bad if something happened to her. It would be better for her to go with me to look for spiritual medicines. After all, this is the place where the Fire Kirin was disintegrated, and there is a high possibility that some rare spiritual medicines may be produced there. "What do you mean?" Yu Meng said angrily. "Are you looking down on me? Do you know that I'm very strong?" Yu Meng said with an unconvinced look on his face, showing off the muscles on his arms. It might be because he had been eating and sleeping in the spirit beast bag for the past year, but he couldn't gain weight. His arms were full of soft fat, and his face was flushed, but he couldn't squeeze out a single muscle. Yu Meng felt a little embarrassed and had to change the subject. "Forget it, I won't be angry with you. I'm not a reckless man. I'm a noble alchemist." "Yes, yes, yes, noble alchemist, can we find the elixir now?" Chen Zhuge said perfunctorily. Because I didn't buy Yu Meng the rejuvenating pill last time, she started to think about becoming an alchemist herself, but she is still learning the theory. Chapter 44. Chaos. In addition to the people from the 3 sects, there are also a large number of independent cultivators and cultivators from some small forces who entered the secret realm. Of course, these small forces are relative to the big sects like the 10,000 Beasts sect. Among them, there are also several families or sects that have celestial immortals and true immortals. Chen Zhuge, who was happily harvesting low-level spiritual herbs, suddenly heard an angry roar, the sound of a rage. Chen Zhuge turned his head and looked towards the east and said, "Angry voice, Yu Meng, come with me to take a look." Because he is a physical practitioner, Chen Zhuge's fastest way to travel is not to fly with a sword or the wind, but to jump using the power of his body. On the way to the location of the furious monster, he also communicated with other spirit beasts to rush over together. A quarter of an hour later, Chen Zhuge saw the figure of Fury, and saw 2 nascent soul cultivators, one casting water magic to attack Fury, and the other casting wood magic to restrict Fury's actions. At this moment, the blue-robed monk of the water element shouted, "Heavy water 10,000. The dark black water rushed towards Baofu rapidly. Because Chen Zhuge had just started the spiritual beast method chosen for him, Baofu had very few means of attack and could only rely on his own innate magical power, the dragon flame, to fight the enemy, which was a great disadvantage. Jin. The huge giant spirit image stood in front of Bao Rong, while Chen Zhuge's real body quickly jumped towards the wood element monk, and the heavenly general hit the wood element monk hard with a hasty attack. When the dust and smoke cleared, the blue-robed monk looked at Chen Zhuge warily and asked, "Who are you, sir? Why did you attack my companion?" The wood element cultivator was severely injured by the blow, coughed up a large pool of blood, and looked at Chen Zhuge viciously. To be on the safe side, Chen Zhuge delayed and said, "You were the ones who attacked my spirit beast first." "Your spirit beast?" The two cultivators looked at each other and whispered to each other, "The disciple of the 10,000 beast sect, kill him, or you will not be able to escape." Weak water prison and green ivy binding. Two rays of light came straight towards Chen Zhuge. It worked, he didn't hide. The blue-robed monk said in surprise. "With such little ability, you dare to attack my spirit beast?" Chen Zhuge originally wanted to hide, but he found that the spells released by these two cultivators did not cause much fluctuation in spiritual power, which was only at the level of an ordinary early nascent soul cultivator, so he became too lazy to hide. His body shook, and the green vines were all shattered. The so-called weak water was easily destroyed by the Dharma image protecting his furious body. Die! Chen Zhuge bent his legs and rushed to the injured wood element monk. Heavenly General! Ivy Shield! Bang! The upper body of the wood element cultivator disappeared immediately, and even his nascent soul didn't have time to escape. Escape! Seeing this scene, the blue-robed monk turned around and was about to use water escape, but a big hand grabbed his head directly. Zhang Ji roared at him with his violent face and crushed him to pieces. His escaping nascent soul was also smashed apart by Yu Meng, who was hiding behind him with a pestle. Looking at Yu Meng, who was showing off, Chen Zhuge frowned and said, "Stop playing around, come and take a look at Baohu's injuries." "Oh, here it comes." Yu Meng came over unhappily, and after checking, she said, "It's just a superficial wound, it will heal in a moment." Rejuvenation. The simple recovery spell was dozens of times more effective under Yu Meng, and the corroded scales were instantly healed. "Just replenish your spiritual power." Yu Meng wiped the non-existent sweat and said. Chen Zhuge also took the opportunity to loot the storage rings of the two cultivators. "Poor bastard!" Chen Zhuge said disdainfully. Apart from 1,000 yuan worth of spiritual treasures, he only had 2 ordinary exercises, some common spells, and a few ordinary magic weapons that he had not had time to use. Soon other spirit beasts also came over. In order to prevent accidents, Chen Zhuge asked 2 beasts to form a group to search for the spirit beasts. As for Zhang Ji, he stayed beside him and was responsible for support. The personnel in the secret realm were too complicated, so they wanted to avoid any accidents. "What the hell, are these casual cultivators crazy? Just 2 early nascent soul cultivators with 4 golden cores dare to charge towards me head-on." Chen Zhuge said speechlessly as he looked at the corpse not far away. In fact, the cultivators here didn't know the disciples of the 10,000 Beasts sect at all. At most, they had heard of them, but had never fought against them. Naturally, they didn't think how strong they were. Besides, who wouldn't be envious of the combination of 2 dragons? In the next half-day, Chen Zhuge was attacked by a large number of independent cultivators. Fortunately, the number of people in each wave was not large. If they attacked together, it would be a bit troublesome. After collecting the storage ring from the corpse, Chen Zhuge turned around with his upper body naked and asked, "Who?" A man and a woman appeared in the redwoods behind. The male cultivator stepped forward and bowed, saying, "My fellow Taoist, I have no ill intentions. I just happened to pass by here and heard the fighting, so I came to take a look. I am He Jie, and this is my sister He Yu." Chen Zhuge's eyes flickered, and he laughed and said, "But are you from the Luo Shui He family?" "That's right." He Jie clasped his fists and said, "I am Chen Zhuge from the Wanshao sect." Chen Zhuge also introduced himself. The cultivation base of these 2 people is not low. The man is in the late nascent soul stage, and the woman is in the middle nascent soul stage. Although I am not afraid of them, there is no need to make enemies with them. After all, the Luoshuihe family is also a celestial fairy family. So you are a disciple of the myriad beast sect. Nice to meet you. Hijia complimented him, and then asked, I wonder if Brother Chen is willing to cooperate. There are too many independent cultivators in the secret realm, and even the celestial immortal ancestor cannot know what happens in the secret realm. Those independent cultivators are even crazier and are attacking people from the three major sects and various families. I have seen many people die at the hands of independent cultivators. Chen Zhuge frowned and thought, do you want to cooperate? It seems that it is not impossible. He just wants to extract the blood of the fire Kirin from the spiritual beasts here. He doesn't have any other requirements. It is a good thing to form a group with others, but he doesn't know whether these two people can be trusted. Brother Chen, don't worry. Although my sister and I have good cultivation, we are not the strongest. We won't expect to be the reincarnation of the fire Kylin. Hijia said with a wry smile. I don't have any extravagant hopes. This kind of thing is not something we can think of. Chen Zhuge planned to cooperate first. Anyway, what they saw now were only two dragons, Fury and Luo. He let Zhang Ji and the others hide well. Even if they wanted to plot against him, he was not afraid. So how about Brother Chen? Hijia asked with some anticipation. Okay, but I came here to collect some rare spiritual beasts. Chen Zhuge stated his purpose. That's no problem. After all, this is a secret realm infected by the fire Kirin. The spiritual beasts in it are still very valuable. It would be worth the trip if we could find a spiritual beast with good potential. Hijia agreed. Okay, let's cooperate temporarily. Since he had no objection, Chen Zhuge could save himself the trouble. Brother Chen, we are still in the outer area of the secret realm. The closer we are to the core, the greater the potential of its spirit beasts. Those cultivators who are more confident in their own strength will definitely rush to the core area. We can search for resources in the middle area of the secret realm. Hijia suggested. Chen Zhuge nodded and agreed, okay. Chapter 45, Meeting Huo Lai. Along the way, He Yu didn't speak. Only Chen Zhuge and Hijia were talking to each other, but it was Chen Zhuge who asked Hijia more about the situation in the secret realm. Fellow Daoist Chen, to be honest, I'm not very clear either. I just went a little deeper when we encountered a group of wandering cultivators who attacked us crazily. My sister and I took the opportunity to escape. I don't know how the fellow Daoists who were with me before are doing now. Hijia said with some concern. It's only been half a day, and the situation has become like this? Chen Zhuge was a little unconvinced. Are the casual cultivators near the Three Lights region so outrageous? Fellow Daoist, don't disbelieve it. It's different from your 10,000 beasts domain. The two major sects in the Sangguang domain, the Bihai Xian Zone and the Hai Kao Tian Zone, are fighting for the dominant position in the Sangguang domain. In addition to winning over families with immortals, they also don't let go of independent cultivators. Therefore, the independent cultivators here have very little respect for the sections. Hijia said with a wry smile. It's true. Chen Zhuge was speechless. The two sides passed through the flaming forest in silence. At the edge of the forest, Hijia whispered, Daiyu, please take away your two dragons. Once you get out, you will find the territory occupied by that group of independent cultivators. Upon hearing this, Chen Zhuge said nothing and put the two dragons back into the spirit beast bag. Little sister, check if there are any wandering cultivators around. Hijia said to He Yu who had been silent. He Yu nodded gently, then closed his eyes. An invisible wave spread out in all directions. Hijia explained, this is one of our He family's secret methods. It's a pity that only women can learn it, otherwise my ancestor wouldn't have let me bring my little sister along. Chen Zhuge was surprised and said, this secret method is really magical, but it's a pity that the restrictions are too great. This secret method is really suitable for Chen Zhuge, a Taoist who practices Taoism. It's a pity that it is impossible for him to learn this method completely. He is the only one in the Chen family, so he cannot use it. A quarter of an hour later, He Yu, who was sweating profusely, said with a terrified look on his face, Brother, you are so strong. What do you mean by strong? Hijia asked puzzled. How can he be so strong? There is a very strong person who is slaughtering those independent cultivators. He should be a member of the 10,000 Beasts sect. I can also feel the aura of several spiritual beasts. After saying that, He carefully glanced at Chen Zhuge. People from the 10,000 Beasts sect? Fellow Daoist Chen, do you want to go and take a look? Hejia asked. Chen Zhuge thought about it and decided to go. The secret realm had only been in chaos for half a day when it began to get chaotic. His fellow disciples were at least more reliable than Hejia and the others. Because the aura that he sensed was very strong, the three of them were very careful and it took them half an hour to walk the 300 miles. It was not until the violent roar reached the ears of the three that Hejia said, "Fellow Daoist Chen, if this man is from the 10,000 Beasts sect, it would be fine. If not, we are in danger. Well, I'll go over and take a look first. You guys wait for my news." Chen Zhuge naturally understood what Hejia meant. If it was someone from the 10,000 Beasts sect, it would be fine. But if it wasn't, then the three of them would be doomed. Naturally, the two of them were unwilling to go on such a risky journey. Gathering as much spiritual energy as possible, Chen Zhuge slowly approached until he saw the figure of the fire dragon, and then saw the person behind the fire dragon, senior brother Huo Lai. Chen Zhuge was stunned for a moment, then shouted, "Brother Huo Li." Huo Lai, who was cleaning up the battlefield, turned around when he heard the familiar voice and said in surprise, "Hey, junior brother Chen? Why are you here? When did you become a nascent soul?" Huo Lai, who was now Chatterbox, threw away the storage ring in his hand and called out to the blood-stained fire dragon that had just started a killing spree. He struck a handsome pose and said, "How powerful is your fire dragon? These casual cultivators are so tired of living that they actually dared to rob me." "No, senior brother Huo Li, why are you here? Aren't you from Qinglong Peak? Isn't it the elder from Zuk Peak who is leading the team this time?" Chen Zhuge said a little confused. "This matter is complicated. Generally speaking, not only people from Suzaku Peak have come, but several people from Suanwu Peak have also come. I am the only one from Qinglong Peak who came because I am planning to break through to the God Transformation realm recently. I thought that after this mission, I would have enough time to go into seclusion, so I came here." Huo Lai explained. "But, junior brother, what's your situation? When did you reach the nascent soul stage? Why are you in the secret realm again?" Huo Lai asked puzzledly. Chen Zhuge briefly recounted what had happened recently. Huo Lai complained, "Junior brother, you've already made a breakthrough, but you didn't even tell me. And why didn't you come to Qinglong Peak? The fire god can smell the scent of his kind on you." Chen Zhuge was embarrassed. It wasn't that he didn't want to go to Qinglong Peak. It was mainly because his previous rage was too embarrassing, and he didn't intend to contract that thing. In addition, Yu Meng held him back, and he finally broke through to the nascent soul stage, and didn't have time to contract the rage, so the red dragon's potential was reduced a lot. "Forget it, junior brother, which peak are you on now? Come down with me. The independent cultivators here are really bold." Huo Lai looked at the corpses on the ground with disdain. "Baiko Peak, thank you senior brother Huo for your care." Chen Zhuge said gratefully. "It's a small matter. It has nothing to do with us." Huo Lai said carelessly. After reminiscing about the past, Huo Lai asked Chen Zhuge to call out the two members of the He family he had just met. Looking at the two people with awe on their faces, Huo Lai said unceremoniously, "Since my junior brother asked you to follow him, then let's go together." Huo Lai, who was planning to ride the fire dragon to travel, found that his fire dragon actually ran to Chen Zhuge's side. The fire god on the side stared at Chen Zhuge with his huge copper bell-sized eyes and said dully, "Hand over your two dragons." Huo Lai was somewhat dissatisfied and asked, "Fire god, what are you doing?" The god of fire snorted in dissatisfaction and said, "Xiao Lai, you are so unbearable to even find a female dragon for me. Can't I find one myself?" These remarks made Chen Zhuge and the other two look at each other in surprise. What the hell was this fire dragon? It looked like it wasn't even an adult yet, so how come it looked like a female dragon? Although it was a bit unkind, Chen Zhuge still released both the fire dragon and the red dragon. Seeing the angry fire dragon, the fire god pushed the red dragon away with his buttocks, approached and said in a flattering way, "Sister, what's your name?" Seeing his own spirit beast being so embarrassed, Huo Lai said awkwardly, "Junior brother, this. Brother, you're fine, but your intelligence is not very high when you're angry. I used the bloodline transformations to forcibly increase the purity of your bloodline. Although I used the enlightenment pill, your intelligence still can't catch up." Chen Zhuge waved his hand to indicate that he was fine. So that's how it is. It's okay. I have the fruit of wisdom. The god of fire took out a milky white fruit with a swish and said. Chen Zhuge took the fruit of wisdom and said, somewhat at a loss, did I feed it? My dear father-in-law, here, this is a little gift from your son-in-law. The god of fire said with a flattering look on his face. What a ridiculous name. Chen Zhuge felt embarrassed. Brother Huo, didn't you take care of your spirit beast? Chen Zhuge didn't know that Huo Lai had gone completely crazy and was embarrassed. After swallowing the fruit of wisdom, the furious spirit began to return to the level of a normal nascent soul spirit beast, and a voice like a little girl sounded, Master. It's me. Chen Zhuge was somewhat happy to see this. This way, he could speed up his practice by practicing the technique in anger. It was simply outrageous that he was bullied by two casual cultivators in the early nascent soul stage before. Sister, I am your brother, the god of fire. The god of fire licked his face and approached. Looking at the embarrassed fire god, Huo Lai said weakly, Junior brother, let's hurry on. As he spoke, he summoned a red unicorn and rode on it. The divine fire horse is a unicorn with the blood of the golden crow and is extremely powerful in combat. Chapter 46. Gathering. With the support of Huo Lai, during the 3 days of heading to the core area, all the wandering cultivators were dealt with by the fire god who wanted to show off. It was a pity that Bao Nu's attitude towards him was still average. Just after dealing with the few random cultivators who were blocking the road, Huo Lai came over excitedly and said, Junior brother Chen, there is news. Zhu Yingke, the leader of Zuk Peak this time, has gathered a large number of fellow disciples at the core of the secret realm. Really? Chen Zhuge was also a little excited. For the past 3 days, he was either intercepted by others or accidentally entered the territories of powerful local spirit beasts. It was really annoying. Perhaps it was because the sect's senior brothers had swept the road, so there was no one to block the way, not even a slightly stronger spirit beast could be seen. Looking at the red pillar of light reaching the sky from afar, Huo Lai stood with his hands behind his back and said, Junior brother, senior sister Zhu and the others should be there. Chen Zhuge did not reply, but just nodded to indicate that he understood. Compared to gathering with his fellow disciples, the calm Chen Zhuge now understands his embarrassing situation. He has the cultivation level of a body cultivator in the early and middle nascent soul stages. Among the 6 spirit beasts below him, except for Zhang Ji who is in the middle nascent soul stage, the remaining 4 are all in the early nascent soul stage who have just started practicing, and Yu Meng who is there for assistance. His combat power is really poor. In the past 3 days, if senior brother Huo Lai had not dealt with those wandering cultivators who blocked his way, I would have probably been defeated long ago. After all, the wandering cultivators who could get here were all tough guys. Each of them was either in the great perfection of the nascent soul stage or in the late nascent soul stage with special abilities. It would be hard to say whether they would be defeated if they fought, as the probability of failure was too high. The nascent soul realm dragon was flying at full speed, and its speed was extremely fast. Even though it was suppressed a lot in the secret realm, the secret realm was only so big. After 2 hours, the 4 of them finally arrived. Before the person even landed on the ground, the spell hit him on the head. The angry dragon flames annihilated it, and the god of fire roared angrily at the cultivator who had made the attack. So you're a disciple from the Myriad Beasts sect? I thought it was some lucky independent cultivator coming here. The disciple from the Galaxy sect, whose white clothes had astrological images painted on them, sneered with narrowed eyes. Xing Cheng, you are looking for death. The raging flames gathered into a slap and slapped Xing Cheng hard. Starshine. The bright starlight and flames produced a huge explosion, but Xing Cheng was unharmed. He looked coldly at Chen Zhuge and others, then turned and left. Senior brother Yu, thank you very much. Huo Lai bowed to the cultivator in front of him. Yu Sanye waved his hand unhappily and said, I didn't expect that when I came to pick you up, I would run into that bastard from Xing Cheng. Are you guys okay on the way? And who are these two? Huo Lai gave a general explanation, and Yu Sanye said to the He brothers and sisters, these people from your local family are all in the west. Thank you for your guidance, fellow deist. He knew that it was not suitable for them to stay here any longer. Fortunately, the He family was not a small family, and He was not the main force this time. As long as they could find their brothers in the family, their safety would be guaranteed. Well, just follow us and pass through our base. There are many independent cultivators gathered near your base, so just be careful at that time. Yu Sanye looked very rough, but I didn't expect him to be so thoughtful. He was very grateful when he heard this. Under the leadership of Yu Sanye, everyone finally arrived at the headquarters of Wan Xiaomen. He thanked the three again, and left with his sister. Huo Lai said with some regret, the secret technique of the female cultivator of the He family is actually quite good, and it is quite useful. It's useless. The leader of Xing Holy Land this time is the direct descendant of their great elder. He is very powerful. Even senior sister Zhu is only on par with him. Yu Sanye said solemnly. Chen Zhuge's heart moved when he heard that. It seemed that the disciple from the Xing Holy Land was very strong. Just by hearing the name Zhu Yingke, one could tell that she was from the Zhu family. The Zhu family was the most powerful family in Zuk Peak. There was a golden immortal in the family, making it a truly large family. He just didn't know if this senior sister Zhu was a direct descendant, but since she could be on par with the direct descendants of the Grand Elder of the Xing Holy Land, she was most likely a direct descendant. Brother Yu, a few more brothers have arrived. The young man guarding the gate of the base greeted lazily. It seemed that the two of them were very familiar with each other. Yu Sanye just replied and took Chen Zhuge and others in. The base is rather simple, and the core area should be open in the next few days. You can just find an open space and make do with it. No one dares to come here. A trace of embarrassment appeared on Yu Sanye's rough face. Originally, senior sister Zhu had set up a temporary palace here, but in order to deal with the Xing Holy Land, she put it away so that she could be in the best condition to fight the enemy. Because he had something else to do, Yu Sanye just explained the general situation and left in a hurry. After finding an open space that wasn't too remote, the two of them cast a spell and built two small houses. Huo Lai said somewhat awkwardly, "Junior brother, please bear with me." Huo Lai originally planned to go to the crowded central area. After all, he was the kind of person who could show off his power in front of others. Unfortunately, the god of fire was unwilling. I finally found a fire dragon sister, but she actually wants me to show off in front of others. Can you please consider the feelings of this dragon? This is simply inhuman. The majestic fire dragon twisted its huge body and approached Rage seductively. Its dull voice was very gentle at the moment. Rage sister, are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Although Fury's mind is open, it is still at the level of a child. It takes some time to learn and grow. Therefore, the relationship between the two dragons has become a little closer in the past few days. He just said embarrassedly, "Brother Fire God, this is too much trouble for you. I will just take a fasting pill." What kind of trouble is it? The Qigong pill is for dragons to eat. Please wait a moment, sister. I will be back soon. Looking at the smug-looking fire god rushing out of the camp, Huo Lai felt that his great image in front of his junior brother collapsed. Chen Zhuge didn't know what his senior brother was thinking, he just felt that it was good. With the fire god's contribution, he also told Bao Nu to ask more questions about cultivation, which could speed up his cultivation. After all, there are differences between humans and spirit beasts. In addition, Chen Zhuge had not practiced fire dragon transformation, so he was powerless to give guidance. During these short 3 or 4 days, Chen Zhuge was truly exhausted. He had a quick meal with his senior brother, and then they went back to their respective cabins to adjust their states. In a few days, the light column in the core area would disappear, and once the blockade was lifted, there would surely be a fierce battle. But he didn't know what the reincarnation of the fire Kirin would be like. In the last few days, the remaining people in the secret realm began to gather towards the core one by one. During this period, Chen Zhuge also met Zhen Dan. Looking at Zhen Dan, who was covered in blood and had a sharp aura, I couldn't help but sigh that I had misjudged him. He looked so quiet and gentle, but I didn't expect him to be so cruel. I don't know how many people he had killed along the way. It was really terrifying for him to kill people alone with his cultivation level of the middle stage of the nascent soul. He was in the early stage of the nascent soul before, but he broke through in the battle, so he is now in the middle stage of the nascent soul. Another day passed and the beam of light disappeared. Chapter 47. Fire Kirin Draft. At noon that day, the originally red column of light suddenly burst out with intense heat, which even burst the entire column of light. Chen Zhuge also saw senior sister Zhu at this time. She had delicate facial features, a graceful figure, and was wearing a red battle armor with wings on her back. She looked heroic. The moment the light column disappeared, the strongest people in the core area took off into the air. Before Chen Zhuge and his group could react, a violent explosion was heard in the air, and the huge mushroom cloud dissipated. The heroic senior sister Zhu returned to her original place covered in dust. Zhu Yingke murmured in disbelief, there is actually such a shameless fairy. It's really too shameless. A fire unicorn walked out of the light column, leaving streaks of flames in the air. Its blood-red hair was like blazing magma, and its strong body was mighty. It turned its domineering head towards everyone and said, "Are you all planning to make a contract with me?" No one responded. The aura emitted by this fire Kiran was clearly that of a person at the spiritual transformation stage, and not just a beginner. This was really too shameless. It was clearly at the spiritual transformation stage within the limits of the secret realm. It should be said that this fire Kiran was really cowardly. As a divine beast, his combat power is unmatched by anyone other than a genius at the same level. Now he has even crossed a major realm and several minor realms. What if you say something wrong and he gets angry and sends you to hell? Looking at the silent people below, Huo Kailan was a little puzzled. This time, I rebuilt the reincarnation land and placed it in the human territory just to find a rich man. What did this group of people mean by not saying anything? Do they want me to say it myself? Silence, deathly silence. More than 10 of the strongest people were knocked back to their original places by one move. The strength of this fire Kiran was already invincible in the secret realm. His arrogant attitude made the other cultivators dare not speak. A quarter of an hour later, Huo Kailan could no longer bear it and slandered in his heart, "I didn't expect that the first thing I did after I was born was to find a master for myself. It's so shabby. For the sake of the Golden Immortal Avenue, I will endure it. Ahem, everyone came to the secret realm because of me, right?" Fire Kiran said, moistening his throat. After a while, a brave independent cultivator said, "Senior, we are here for you, and we have no intention of offending you." "Well, let's not talk about being offensive or not. Since you youngsters have come to the secret realm, there must be a lot of elders from the clan here too. I can't escape with my current cultivation level. Since they all came for me, I have to be selective too. So please tell me your family background so I can take it into consideration." When Chen Zhuge, who was a small follower, heard what Huo Kailan said, a strange thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Why is Huo Kailan choosing a son-in-law just like that? Are all celestial beings so casual? I see that there are quite a lot of you. Let's put it this way. If there is a celestial being in your family, or if there is a celestial being who is your master in the sect, please tell me from above. Fire Kiran added. Oh, this. Chen Zhuge confirmed that the Fire Kiran was really picking and choosing his people. Looking at the cultivators flying into the air, a sentence suddenly popped up in Chen Zhuge's mind. Please welcome the first female guest to the stage. Coincidentally, one of them was actually a woman. Above the headquarters of the Blue Sea Immortal Sect, a female cultivator immediately spoke up, "Your Excellency, I am Biluo Yun. My direct ancestor is a celestial being. I am a disciple of the Blue Sea Immortal Sect. My master is also a celestial being. I was born with a 5-element water spirit body. I have already reached the great perfection of the nascent soul before the age of 60. I don't know what kind of death order the immortal from the Baihai Xian Zone gave, but this female cultivator almost revealed the color of her underwear." After listening to this, Huo Kailan just nodded and didn't say anything. Biluoyun retreated with some disappointment. The Baihai Immortal sect was still too weak. It seemed that the Fire Kiran had most likely fallen into the hands of the Myriad Beast sect and the Xing Holy Land. "I am Xinggun, a direct descendant of the Golden Immortal Ancestor. I am a disciple of the Grand Elder of the Xing Holy Land. In less than 60 years, I have reached the great perfection of the nascent soul and a 7-star holy body." A figure stood proudly in the Xing Holy Land. Zhu Yingke followed closely behind. "I pay my respects to the Wanshao sect, the ancestor of my family, the Golden Immortal." Looking at senior sister Zhu who spoke simply, Chen Zhuge could not help but nod and thought, "My senior sister from the 10,000 Beast sect is still very courageous. Isn't it just a Fire Kiran from the heavenly immortal realm? Even if it is a Golden Immortal, it's no big deal. There are immortal Deluo Golden Immortals in the section." Just as I finished praising senior sister Zhu in my heart, I saw senior sister Zhu took out an inner elixir and said, "Venerable, this inner elixir should be from your previous life. Just follow me and I will return it to you." "Junior, are you threatening me? We are still in the secret realm. Fire Kylan said gloomily. Zhu Yingke took out another token and said, "This is a life-saving method given by our ancestor. I wonder if you can still withstand the attack of the Golden Immortal." Fire Kiran felt the token emitting infinite power, and the corners of his mouth twitched unnaturally. "Just kidding, I actually felt that you have great potential a long time ago. You are simply my God-given contract partner. Put the things away, and let's make the contract first." These words made the cultivators below speechless. Was this Fire Kiran really a celestial being in his previous life? How could he be so shameless? As for Biluyun of the Bihai Immortal Sect and Xinggun of the Xingd Holy Land, they were also helpless. Although they were favored, they did not have the life-saving means of the Golden Immortal. After all, a Golden Immortal had lived for who knows how many years and had seen all kinds of geniuses. Even the strongest family affection would be as bland as water. When the two were jealous beyond recognition, the contract between Zhu Yingke and Huo Kailan had been completed. After a brief conversation between the two, Zhu Yingke used magic to amplify the voice. "Everyone, the secret realm will self-destruct in 3 days. If you want to leave, you must use the core teleportation array here. If you want to collect resources, go quickly." Seeing Zhu Yingke entering the core area with Fire Kiran, everyone gritted their teeth. How much wealth must be left behind by a celestial being? Chen Zhuge didn't think so much about it. He had no choice but to rely on senior sister Zhu's intimidation in these 3 days to absorb some Fire Kiran's bloodline, then directly inject it and take it out. Then he could use the excuse that he got it in the secret realm. 1 day. 2 days, 3 days, 99% is very good. I can go back and make do in the immortal city. It is still 100% very simple. But if you want a purebred Fire Kylan, you can only wait until this mission is over. It would be best to use a stone dragon lizard as an adapter. Later, when the bloodline transformations evolves into a magical power, I can forcibly erase the other bloodline, and that'll be it. Chen Zhuge comforted himself. Zhu Yingke, who has contracted the Fire Kiran, is the strongest in the secret realm. Under violent suppression, everyone lined up obediently to leave the secret realm. The ones who suffered the most were probably the small families and independent cultivators. As soon as they entered the secret realm, the independent cultivators ambushed the cultivators from the small families. Whoever stood in the way from the 3 sects would be killed. After the Fire Kiran was contracted, there were no conflicts of interest. The Blue Sea Immortal Sect began to protect the small families and win over the hearts of the people, and then the independent cultivators became miserable. Fortunately, senior sister Zhu had no prejudice against the independent cultivators and did not look down on those trivial matters, otherwise it would be unknown how many independent cultivators could get out alive. Chapter 48. The mission is over. I didn't expect it to end like this. Huo Lai said in a daze, looking at the blue sky. Yeah, it's really unexpected. Chen Zhuge was speechless about this secret adventure. But junior brother, how long will it take you to complete this mission? Huo Lai looked at the furious fire god entangled beside him and asked embarrassedly. It may take a few more years. Chen Zhuge didn't think there was anything wrong and said truthfully. Upon hearing this, the fire god beside him showed a trace of reluctance on his rough face, and secretly sent a message to his master Huo Lai, "Brother Lai, let's make a deal. How many years should we stay here?" Huo Lai rolled his eyes speechlessly and replied in a voice transmission, "Don't think about it. I have almost accumulated enough merits after this mission. It's time for me to break through to the God transformation realm. The same goes for you. If you want to please others, you have to catch up with your strength." Although the fire god was reluctant, he knew that what Huo Lai said made sense, so he could only nod in agreement. The scene after it appeared was not what Chen Zhuge had imagined. He thought there would be some event of competing for the opportunity of the Fire Kiran, but he did not expect that the reality was that everyone happily welcomed their juniors back to the sect, and at most they lamented why this opportunity did not fall to their juniors. Chen Zhuge relaxed his vigilance and said speechlessly, "Brother Huo, are you all so harmonious?" Huo Lai heard this and asked curiously, "Isn't it always like this? Is there anyone else who dares to snatch the opportunity from our Wanshao sect? Oh, it seems like this is the first time junior brother is exploring a secret realm in the outside world. Anyway, small forces don't dare to provoke our Wanshao sect. Forces of equal strength are unlikely to become enemies with Wanshao sect because of an opportunity. This time it's just a Fire Kiran from the heavenly immortal realm being rebuilt. If it was a golden immortal, there might be people who would take the risk to fight for it. The heavenly immortal realm is still a little bit behind. In the heavenly realm, a first-rate force must have at least one golden immortal in charge, while a heavenly immortal can only be considered second-rate, a true immortal is third-rate, and an immortal golden immortal is considered the top force. As for the overlord-level forces, it is unknown. After all, each overlord-level force has been passed down for hundreds of millions of years, and the specific strength of the sect is not something that little karamis like Chen Zhuge can imagine. Not long after, Huo Lai and his group of later disciples and the elite disciples of Sozaku Peak returned to the sect on the burning sky flying boat. As for people like Chen Zhuge who have accepted the task, they will probably need to stay for a while. After all, the construction of the ultra-long-distance teleportation array has not been completed yet. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The Fire Kirin secret realm that was widely rumored 3 years ago, has not become less lively in the Immortal City after the Fire Kirin was contracted by the 10,000 Beasts sect, but has become even more lively. In particular, the local fire-attributed spirit beasts here are much more expensive than those in other fairy cities. After all, they all contain the blood of the fire unicorn. If you are lucky enough to meet a spirit beast that my fate is in my own hands, it would be so tempting to make the leap to the Dragon Gate. Well, in fact, the spirit fire of the fire-attributed spirit beasts here is stronger than that of spirit beasts in other places. The prosperity of the Immortal City made Fang Zhi's fire elf shop do very well. He exchanged a large number of spirit stones for various cultivation resources for his children and grandchildren. He even set up a lot of other industries in the Immortal City. Although they were not large, he could be considered to have a small fortune. As for Chen Zhuge himself, not only did he completely collect the Fire Kirin bloodline in 3 years, he also cultivated the spirit beasts captured from the Fire Kirin secret realm, and has already developed the next generation. Such rapid cultivation is also thanks to the fact that these spirit beasts can mature quickly as long as they eat a lot of natural treasures with fire attributes, which is a perfect match for his golden finger. Junior brother, thanks to your help over the years, I see that you are also practicing as a physical practitioner. I have a 5th level relic here, which will be your farewell gift. Fang Zhi said reluctantly, pulling Chen Zhuge. The reason why he could earn so many spirit stones in the past 3 years, besides the windfall, was also due to Chen Zhuge's secret technique bloodline transformation. Otherwise, with all the fire spirit beasts on the streets, how could Fang Zhi's shop earn so many spirit stones? Brother, we have a long way to go. See you next time. Chen Zhuge declined for a while, but finally accepted the relic and said goodbye with a fist. With the flash of white light from the teleportation array, Chen Zhuge returned to the familiar mission hall again. I'm finally back. Chen Zhuge said excitedly. After handing in the mission token and settling the mission merits, I can finally practice and cultivate spirit beasts in peace for the next 20 years. Thinking about the birth of the Fire Kirin that he had been looking forward to, Chen Zhuge felt excited. With the large number of spirit beasts in his hands, the scale of the spirit beast garden could finally be expanded to earn spirit stones for himself. Chen Zhuge, who couldn't wait, returned to the cave first, used a cleaning technique to sweep away the dust that had accumulated over the years, and then released the spirit beasts that had been suffocated for a long time. Looking at the spirit beasts having fun, the corners of Chen Zhuge's mouth slowly rose. He had to celebrate properly in the evening. Unfortunately, I used the communication stone to contact my friends. Except for the friends outside who couldn't come, the friends in the inner sect were all busy. In the evening, the generous Chen Zhuge killed nearly 100 red flame sheep at one time, and held a carnival for all the spirit beasts under his command and the golden dogs that diligently looked after the red flame sheep. Chen Zhuge, who was chewing a lamb leg, suddenly heard a resentful cry, "Angry sister, why didn't you tell your brother that you came back? Your brother is very sad." Chen Zhuge touched the goosebumps on his body and said to the furious man who had grown a lot, "Your brother is here, go and meet him." Furious and somewhat dissatisfied, he put down the lamb leg, jumped into the air and returned to his original form, thinking, what kind of brother is this? He actually disturbed me while I was eating. I must give him a beating. Not long after, Chen Zhuge saw 2 shrunken fire dragons walking side by side. The one on the right with a desperate look on his face was Fury, and the one on the left full of excitement was the god of fire. Looking at these 2 enemies, Chen Zhuge couldn't help but laugh. Is this the trouble of the spiritual beast? After a conversation with the god of fire, he learned that Zhu Yingke, who had obtained the Fire Kirin 3 years ago, was once accepted as a disciple by the great elder of Sozaku Peak. His already powerful background was further improved. Senior brother Huo Lai is still in seclusion. As for the fire god, he has already made a breakthrough. In terms of seniority, the fire god is originally the descendant of a true dragon from the Huo family. If his mother was not a snake, he would have been a fire dragon at birth, instead of the fire dragon he is now. With only the god transformation realm, it would be easy for him to break through as long as he has enough resources. Although there was one more visitor, it did not affect the celebration. Both humans and animals were almost drunk that night. In the distant wild world, the continent that fell that year actually began to collapse. This discovery forced all the major sects that had made the agreement to go there to gather their disciples in advance. In a hurry, Chen Zhuge could only give his sister some more spirit stones so that she could prepare more magical weapons and elixirs for self-defense. With a worried look on his face, Chen Zhuge watched Chen Xiaoyu, who was just in the late stage of foundation building, embark on a flying boat to the savage realm. This time, the flying boat was led by a celestial elder from Qinglong Peak. After all, the Golden Immortal was already the highest fighting force that could be deployed openly. It was just a continent, and there were no particularly precious treasures, so there was no need for a Golden Immortal to take action. Chapter 49, The Birth of the Fire Kirin. After seeing Chen Xiao off, Chen Zhuge finally had time to cultivate the Fire Kirin. As for the Fire Kirin's adapter, Chen Zhuge already has a good choice, and that is the medicinal snake. A medicinal snake with completely pure blood is really suitable for insertion into other single bloodlines. Even though he is not yet a pure-blooded Fire Kylin, the secret method of bloodline transformation can at least completely eliminate one type of bloodline as long as it is imprinted into a magical power. It is simply tailor-made for him. Call Dabai, Erbei and Sanbei to the open space. Looking at the three small snakes that have grown into giants tens of meters long, Chen Zhuge pondered and said, I have an opportunity here, but it may be dangerous. Are any of you willing to try it? The injection of the Golden Finger bloodline carries the risk of destroying the minds of spiritual beasts that have already developed intelligence. Although they will be reborn with new intelligence after the transformation, that will no longer be their original consciousness. So Chen Zhuge doesn't want to force these three medicine snakes too much. After all, they have been with him for many years, and have a good relationship with Yu Meng and other spiritual beasts. The three snakes looked at each other. The gloomy personalities unique to snakes made it impossible for Chen Zhuge to see any changes on their faces. With a slight frown, Chen Zhuge said, it doesn't matter if you don't want to. Just as he was about to activate the contract decree in his mind to disperse the three snakes, Dabai sent a message. Master, let me come. Dabai's childlike mind echoed in Chen Zhuge's mind. Looking at Dabai, who was a circle larger in size and more mature in mind than the other two snakes, Chen Zhuge stared at Dabai, only to see that his ruby-like eyes remained unmoved. Chen Zhuge agreed. To disperse the two snakes, Chen Zhuge set up a large protective magic circle specifically for Dabai, and took out a wisdom fruit and said, remember, don't forget yourself, your name is Dabai. I understand, Master. Injection of Fire Kirin bloodline. Bang! Just as the injection began, orange flames appeared on Dabai's body. Listening to Dabai's painful roar, Chen Zhuge could only encourage him, Dabai, hold on, don't fall asleep. I will persist. I will definitely persist. I don't know if it's because the Fire Kirin's bloodline level is too high, or the Golden Finger is not strong enough, but the speed of blood injection is very slow. The flames burning on Dabai's body slowly changed from orange to red, and then to scarlet red, with the temperature rising higher and higher. Even though he was protected from getting hurt by the Golden Finger rules, Chen Zhuge, who was at the 4th level of physical training, still broke out in a sweat. Fully injected, the huge pain completely overwhelmed Dabai, and the transformation officially began. The originally snow-white and slender snake body began to shrink, the scales began to slowly turn red, 4 small bags began to appear on the abdomen, the head began to swell, and the antler-like parts on the head poked out bloodily. Feeling Dabai's extreme pain in his mind and the contract loss beginning to dim, Chen Zhuge was still a little panicked. If he failed, the loss would be huge. Sizzle. Yo-yo. The sound of the snake began to transform into a sound similar to that of a deer. The decree, which had been almost dim, burst into brilliant light. Chen Zhuge laughed and said, I knew you could do it. Ha 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 ha. Medicinal snakes will accumulate qi and blood in order to survive the heavenly thunder calamity. The infusion of the Fire Kirin bloodline actually helped a lot. Strong qi and blood can give birth to a stronger body. Dabai relied on this qi and blood to survive the most difficult period. As time went by, calamity clouds continued to gather above Dabai, but Chen Zhuge, who was only paying attention to Dabai's changes, did not notice it. Baiko Peak is located in a cave on the top of the mountain point. Two old men were playing chess. Looking at the calamity cloud not far away, one of them said dissatisfiedly, "What's going on? I remember that the Peak Master had set aside an area for his disciples to overcome the calamity, didn't he? Haha, isn't this normal? Overcoming the tribulation is just like the three urgent needs of ordinary people, how can you hold it in?" The old man opposite said with a smile. Looking at the scale, it's just the nascent soul tribulation, what's the point of holding it in? I'll just go into seclusion. The world shouldn't change so quickly, I'll go and take a look. After saying that, the old man disappeared in a flash. Another old man shook his head helplessly and said, "You are almost at the end of your lifespan, but I didn't expect you to be so impetuous." After saying that, the old man looked down, and his originally calm expression suddenly changed. "You old man, I'm about to win, don't run." As he said that, he quickly caught up. "You, old man. Don't make any noise, just look carefully. What are you looking at? It's just a disciple or a spirit beast. How can it be called a Kylin?" The old man widened his eyes. The other side. At this moment, Chen Zhuge didn't know that there were two celestial masters watching him in the corner, but he found Lei Ji looking at the thunder that was about to fall. Dabai's transformation was only half completed, and his heart sank. Is it going to fail? Unlike the normal tribulation, the power of a single thunderbolt this time is not only comparable to the level of the God transformation realm, but the number is also dense and continuous. The dense lightning completely submerged Dabai, and it was impossible to see the situation of Dabai in the center of the thunder tribulation. The violent thunder lasted for half an hour. When it stopped, Chen Zhuge's mind darkened. After getting closer, he saw the pitch-black lump and his heart ached even more. Before Chen Zhuge could go over to collect the body of Dabai, the pitch-black thing moved. Click click. The light golden horns broke out of the shell first, followed by the majestic head. The bright eyes seemed to hide endless fireworks, and the beautiful mane fluttered in the wind. The strong body leaped out, the red scales were arranged in an orderly manner on the body, flames burst out from time to time between the scales, the bottom of the limbs were stepping on fire clouds, the long tail swayed slightly uncomfortably, and the flame at the tip of the tail flowed like flowing clouds. Dabai, who was reborn, rushed towards Chen Zhuge with joy, but was caught in the hands of two old men in mid-air and studied. "Tisk tisk tisk, it really is a fire Kirin. Its bloodline seems to be purer than the one contracted by the girl on Suzaku Peak. Old Wen, this disciple is wasted on Baiko Peak. Why don't you give him to me?" The immortal named Zheng Yuanjia, also known as Master Liaming, said with some surprise. "You're talking nonsense, old ghost Zheng. Don't think I'm afraid of you just because you're from Suanwu Peak. Get out of my way." Wen Tianming said angrily. After Wen Tianming finished scolding, he turned around and smiled at Chen Zhuge, who had not yet figured out the situation, and said, "Boy, I am the third elder of Baiko Peak. Are you interested in becoming my disciple?" "Boy, what's the point of Baiko Peak? Come to my Suanwu Peak. I am also an elder of Suanwu Peak." Zheng Yuanjia said eagerly. "Mr. Zheng, what do you mean by this?" Wen Tianming clenched his fists and hardened them. "Two elders, do you really want to accept me as your disciple?" Chen Zhuge couldn't believe it. His talent could only be described as above average. Although he was not the last when he first entered the outer sect of Wanshao sect, he was also in the middle to lower level. He couldn't even think of the elders accepting him as their disciple. "Nonsense, I am a celestial being, a venerable one, how could I possibly come to tease you?" Wen Tianming said dissatisfiedly. "I'm sorry, elder. It was senior sister Wen who interceded for me to enter Baiko Peak. I cannot leave without a reason." Chen Zhuge bowed deeply to Zheng Yuanjia. "Alas, what a pity. It is God's will. So let it go." Zheng Yuanjia said casually. "Old man Wen, please deal with the new disciple first. I'm leaving first." Zheng Yuanjia left in a graceful manner. Wen Tianming laughed proudly twice, then he stopped talking and said, "Since you have decided to take me as your master, then I will tell you the rules of my sect. I only have one disciple, and you are the second one. I don't have any rules, except that you cannot bully your master and destroy your ancestors. As for the apprenticeship ceremony, I will arrange it when the time comes, but it will have to be postponed. I will send out the list and your status as a true disciple in advance, so don't worry about that. Chapter 50. The benefits of having a celestial master. Wen Tianming, also known as the Evergreen Reverend, has an elegant name, but he is very direct, has a bad temper, and is very protective of his own people. After confirming that Chen Zhuge was his second disciple, he grabbed the cave and the spirit beast garden with his big hands and moved the entire cave residence and the spirit beast garden to the top of the mountain. Looking at the new residence, Chen Zhuge couldn't help but sigh at the great power of the immortal and the execution ability of his own master, which was simply amazing. Although the apprenticeship ceremony has been postponed, you are still my disciple, so just practice with me. Wen Tianming acted like a domineering president. Taking a deep breath of the spiritual energy, feeling that it was 10 times richer than before, Chen Zhuge was filled with surprise. The spiritual energy in heaven is very abundant, and even in the mortal world there is enough spiritual energy for cultivation. However, a more concentrated spiritual environment is always of great benefit, both for oneself and for spiritual beasts. I have roughly investigated your fire Kylin. Originally, its bloodline was not pure, but this heavenly tribulation came at the right time. The violent thunder further washed away other bloodlines, making the Kylin bloodline even purer. I was planning to ask an old friend to help your Kylin cleanse its bloodline. But, I have investigated and found that your talent is not that high. Fortunately, the 3 spirit beasts before you have good potential. Although you are not a genius now, you can barely be called a genius. The first task I give you is to evolve the bloodline transformation into a magical power in the nascent soul stage and deal with this fire Kirin on your own. Wen Tianming put his hands behind his back and told Chen Zhuge his plan. Yes, master. Chen Zhuge was not dissatisfied. After all, this was one of his next plans. Well, I made some adjustments to the formations and other things in your spirit beast garden for you. The small secret realm was not integrated very well, so I integrated it into you directly. Now it can barely be considered half a cave heaven magic weapon, but it cannot be taken into the body. Wen Tianming said as he took out an exquisite small building from his sleeve. I also merged into your cave. Wen Tianming said a little embarrassedly. He had originally planned to separate them, but ended up integrating them into one. In Chen Zhuge's opinion, the expression of the immortal master in front of him did not change, but he was moved and put it away. Finally, besides you, I only have one disciple under my tutelage, and that disciple is your senior sister Wen Ruo. Our lineage has a pretty good relationship with the disciples of other elders, so you can get in touch with her more often if you have the chance. As for your technique, I think you should be a beast master. I don't follow this path, so I can't teach you too much. As for the spiritual plant master, I see that you have also practiced physical cultivation, so you probably don't have time to learn it. Fortunately, my attainments in physical cultivation are not bad. I see that you are practicing the giant spirit Dharma image, which is not suitable for you. Since you have become my disciple, you should still be a beast master. In the future, your natal spirit beast can contract with the plant spirit beast of our lineage. This green vine immortal body is more suitable for you. You should study it carefully during this period of time. As Wen Tianming finished his words, he pointed a finger at Chen Zhuge's forehead. The complicated and profound cultivation method of green vine immortal body was deeply imprinted in his mind. Okay, go and practice when you have nothing to do. I'll let Wen Ruo come to find you later. After saying that, he was about to chase Wen Tianming away when he found that Dabai was still in his hand. He suddenly felt embarrassed. He was really old and actually forgot about this little thing. Chen Zhuge watched his master, with his hands behind his back, throw Dabai over to him, and then disappear into the air. He felt dazed. Has he become a disciple of a celestial being? By the way, here's your gift to become your disciple. Wen Tianming's voice came from the clouds. Looking at the storage ring that fell in his hand, Chen Zhuge took a quick look and was stunned by the densely packed spirit stones and spirit essences at first sight. Then he saw a large number of high-level spirit plants, spirit medicines, dozens of extraordinary magic weapons shining with precious light, many ores shining with spiritual light, and other junk piled up in the corner like a hill. Is this the pattern of the immortals? Chen Zhuge swallowed hard, and with trembling hands dripped blood on the storage ring to recognize its owner. Then he found a location on the top of the mountain that was relatively remote and had relatively rich spiritual energy, and used the magic weapon refined by his master to recognize its ownership by dripping blood. Looking at the rapidly expanding magic weapon, Chen Zhuge was a little surprised. It seemed to occupy about the same area as the one I had before. No, it seemed to be a little smaller. Wouldn't the master have integrated the small secret realm in my cave inside, open the access control and enter the spirit beast garden? Chen Zhuge was shocked and said, "What kind of magical power is this? Is master so powerful?" He looked at the spirit beast garden which had expanded more than 100 times in size, the grassland which was obviously more spiritual, and the two plant elves emitting a 5th level aura. Not far away, the plant turtle which would have taken decades to grow plant essence fruits on its back actually already had the rudiments of a shrub on its back. I'm afraid it will bear fruit in a few years. There were many other changes, and Chen Zhuge hadn't had time to investigate them carefully. The celestial immortal was really too terrifying. Was this the celestial immortal who possessed the power of creation? As long as he survived the catastrophe of his lifespan, he could live as long as the heaven and earth like the golden immortal? How terrifying would the golden immortal, the immortal Deluo golden immortal, who was above the celestial immortal be? There was no change in the cave, except for the magic circle and the exotic flowers and plants outside the small building. The layout inside did not change much. After all, the interior of the cave was considered a cultivator's privacy. The master probably had this in mind and did not move at all. "Junior brother, are you there?" A gentle voice came into Chen Zhuge's ears along with the magic. Chen Zhuge quickly opened the formation restriction and saluted to Senior Sister Wen, whom he met on his first day at Baikou Peak, and said, "Senior Sister Wen. So it's you who the master was talking about as his new disciple. I didn't expect that in just a few years, you've become a true disciple." Wen Ruo thought about it for a moment and then remembered Chen Zhuge. After all, it was the disciple with the moon rabbit that his aunt asked him to come and help receive. Looking at his senior sister who was still so gentle, Chen Zhuge felt very emotional. Who would have thought that the genius of Baikou Peak, who had the eternal youth body and was so weak, would actually become his senior sister? The world is really unpredictable. "Junior brother, senior sister, I'm here to talk to you about the treatment and responsibilities of our direct disciples." Wen Ruo narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Sister, please sit down and have a cup of spiritual tea and talk slowly," Chen Zhuge invited. Wen Ruo did not refuse, but just watched Chen Zhuge make tea quietly. He gently took a sip of the spiritual tea and said weakly, "Junior brother, we, the direct disciples, are equivalent to the true disciples in the sect. Most of the disciples and stewards in the outer and inner sects like to call us the true disciples. As true disciples, we don't need to complete the tasks assigned by the sect. There are no restrictions. However, despite this, we can't practice in the mountains all the time. We still need to earn the resources for practice by ourselves. We can't always rely on our master. The only responsibility of true disciples is to protect the section. As for the other benefits, there are only a few spirit stones and merits per year, which are of no use. As for the techniques, you can directly learn them in the sutra library on the top of the peak. Merits are not required. However, the collection of books in our peak cannot be compared with the sutra library of the sect. If you don't find the techniques you like, you still need merits to exchange them. As for the rest, it's nothing. You can slowly understand it by yourself. By the way, this is the spirit beast that my master asked me to bring you." Wen Ruo took out a walnut-sized emerald green spirit seed from his waist. Most of the people in Baikou Peak follow the path of spiritual plant masters. Apart from the 3 life-giving spirit beasts used to lay the foundation, they rarely contract other life-giving spirit beasts. I heard from master that junior brother follows the path of animal control and also practices physical cultivation. The descendant of master's spirit beast, the eternal vine, was given to junior brother. Looking at the eternal vine spirit seed that contained infinite vitality, Chen Zhuge felt excited. This was a fairy beast. Fairy beasts are different from divine beasts. Divine beasts are born to become fairies, while fairy beasts are spirit beasts whose bloodlines cannot reach the fairy level at first, but their parents have become fairies, which has raised the upper limit and potential of the spirit beasts' bloodlines, so they are called fairy beasts. As for the potential and combat power of fairy beasts and divine beasts at the same level, this depends on the strength of the fairy beast's parents and the purity of the divine beast's bloodline. Various factors have an impact, so it is difficult to draw a conclusion.